And welcome to the Edmonds Community College pregame show. Tonight's game, the Meadowdale Mavericks versus the Mountlake Terrace Hawks. And with me right now, the head coach of the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, Kelly Dugan. Coach Dugan, a rough last couple of games. Didn't go quite the way you wanted them to. Edmonds Woodway, you gave up the 42 points, but really when you look on paper, statistically, the yardage doesn't look that bad. What are we working on this week in practice?
We're working on giving our defense a chance, so we made special teams mistakes. That killed us. Inability to get key first downs offensively. Punt game was problematic. That would probably be the primary things we're going to improve upon, so we're not giving Meadowdale the ball tonight, first down at the 30-yard line.
Sure. Speaking of Meadowdale, a team you defeated last year, so they're going to be ready for tonight. You've had a chance to watch them on tape this week. What have you seen, and what should you be preparing for tonight?
Well, we always want to try and stop the inside run first. We know Meadowdale, much like our other opponents this year, if they can pound the ball up the middle on us with their leads and their traps, then they'll just continue to do that all night long. So we'll focus on shutting down the run game up the middle, try and force Tingstad to keep the ball on the read option stuff. And if they want to throw the ball downfield, we feel pretty good about our defensive backs.
So as far as your game plan, schematically, are we going to see anything different than we've been seeing, or is it just a matter of just getting back to basics and working on what works? Because, again, you have seen success this year. You obviously put up nice numbers against Seaholm. Is it pretty much the same Terrace football we've been accustomed to seeing in terms of that?
Yeah, we just need to do a much better job on the line of scrimmage. We have big guys. They're athletic. Our blocking scheme is relatively simple. We're enforcing setting the edge, getting the double teams, coming off to the linebackers. It's real basic. It's real simple. They just have to do a better job of playing tough, playing physical, and playing low. So if we get our line to do that, which we think we will, then we can stick with our same style of running, which is, between the tackles, traps, counters, read option, and we should have some success. We are implementing the I formation. We did that last year at times, so it gives us a little bit more of a downhill look at it and just more of a power running game.
Okay, so we will see. So again, Mountlake Terrace looking for their second win of the year. This would be the first win in league play, and we're going to find out if Mountlake Terrace can implement all those new schemes and everything else they've been working on this week, and see how it looks on the field. Just a few minutes away from Mountlake Terrace versus Meadowdale, you're watching the Edmonds Community College pregame show.
We are proud to have as our pregame sponsor Edmonds Community College, where students and community are at the heart of all they do. Edmonds Community College is committed to helping our diverse body of students access educational and career opportunities in a supportive environment that encourages success, innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs.
And welcome back to the Edmonds Community College pregame show. With me right now, the head coach of the Meadowdale Mavericks, Matt Leonard. Coach, before we look ahead to tonight, got to take you back to last Friday. What a game. You jump out to a 16-0 lead on Everett. They come back and they score 33 straight points. You're down by 17 going into the fourth. Last-second field goal at the end of regulation, a 44-yarder to tie the game, and then you win it in overtime. Have you ever been a part of a game quite like that?
Nothing like that. My brother played in a quarterfinal game against Pasco that was a 9-overtime game, but I wasn't there for that. But Coach Al after the game was like, "I've been in only one game that was worse than that." But yeah, I've never been in a game where you look so good and then so bad, and then you look really good to get yourself back into it, and then kind of shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, Drew takes a sack, like an 18-yard sack before the field goal. We fumble in the fourth quarter, so we still weren't very clean, but we were good enough down the stretch to try to force overtime and then score and force them into the turnover to start the overtime.
Now, you send Will Schaefer out there for the 44-yard field goal attempt. That's not a short field goal. And you're doing that at the very end of regulation. Were you nervous at all? Were you having second thoughts about it? What was the mindset at that point?
I didn't have a second thought about it. I mean, that kid is about as reliable as it possibly gets. But he had played every snap of offense, every snap of defense. You're worried about the fatigue factor. I usually save a timeout in case it's a bad snap or something like that on third down. I said, "We got to take the timeout, get him some water." And I was like, "You good?" He's like, "Well, I'll kick it as hard as I can. And so he drilled it. It would have been good for like 55 too. He really hammered it. So I didn't no second thoughts, but obviously you're nervous. 44 yarders, no joke for a high school kid.
Now, you're looking ahead. By the way, that was the first district or conference game of the year, so you're off to a 1-0 start. Looking ahead to tonight, it's Mountlake Terrace. It's a team that, if I recall, defeated Meadowdale last year. I know in talking to a couple of your players earlier this week, they haven't forgotten that.
No, they haven't, and I didn't really particularly like their answers there. Gave some bulletin board material. But, I told them on Monday in film, I said, if you have a problem getting up for this game, a district rivalry, a game that we kind of feel like they stole from us last year by onside kicks and us turning the ball over early and getting down 20-0 and drove all the way back, had a chance to take the lead late and, obviously weren't able to do it. But if you can't get up for this game, there's something wrong with you because we certainly owe them one from last year. And to be 2-0 ahead of our really, really brutal Linwood, Woodway, Snohomish stretch, important for us. Now,
the good news is that over the last 2 weeks, you've scored over 70 points. And also the good news, you shut out Redmond. Bad news, if you're looking for something to pick at, you gave up 40 last week to Everett. Have you made some adjustments in practice this week?
No, we haven't made any adjustments, honestly. And that sounds crazy after giving up 40 points. But it was realistically just not great tackling and then not strong coverage on the back end with kids we trust. Scheme change is still new for them. And so we're just each week practicing to get better and get better. We played really well against Redmond, but they did some things that Everett did, but they just didn't do them as good to really expose us as much as we should have been. And obviously Everett has guys that can run down the field and really stretch you. And so Murdoch threw some great throws that made some really nice catches. I mean, there's one play where basically Louis makes a one-handed catch, like tiptoeing the sideline. Sometimes you tip your hat. Sometimes you go, we blew that. And so you just keep cracking away at it.
Now, I know you've been watching game film from the Mountlake Terrace Edmonds Woodway game last week. This is a Mountlake Terrace team that lost by 39 points. I've got to think that from a coaching standpoint, that could worry you a little bit too, in the sense that maybe the guys get a little overconfident. Were there things that you watched in film that maybe you're a little bit leery of or that you need to kind of focus on in order to get this victory tonight?
Well, the score never tells the story. If you look at our score from week one, you think, wow, we're not a very good football team. So I didn't really think that when I watched the film. They made some mistakes. They kind of got beat in spots where Woodway has some good athletes. And they haven't played anybody super tough. And then you go play someone physical and mean and tough, like Woodway, who was 0-2 and hungry. They didn't quite match that. I don't expect that to be a problem for us. I told our kids they're treating this like a playoff game. If they lose this game, they're staring at 0-2 in the league. That's pretty brutal. So we expect their best shot. They're really impressive inside. They can give us some problems in there. So we just got to kind of continue to come together up front on the offensive line and be stout on the defensive line.
So much like Edmonds Woodway was hungry for that victory over Mountlake Terrace, you think Mountlake Terrace might have that same mentality tonight?
Absolutely. That's what we're expecting, their best shot tonight.
So we'll see what happens here. We're just a few moments away. We're going to take another break. But when we come back, it's Meadowdale and it's Mountlake Terrace right here at Edmonds Stadium. You've been watching the Edmonds Community College pregame show.
Innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs.
And welcome to the Sound Alive Sports Network. Friday night, 8 o'clock football. Edmonds School District rivals, Wesco 3A South rivals. And we are just about ready for kickoff. My name is Steve Willits. I will be joined very shortly by David Kostyk as we get ready to watch the Mountlake Terrace Hawks wearing the home black uniforms with white helmets and gray pants. Kicking to the Meadowdale Mavericks wearing the road white uniforms, white helmets, and blue pants. Malik Kiba has the ball on the tee, ready to go. We'll bring Dave in here in just a moment, and here comes the opening kickoff, and we are underway. Ball is fielded at the 18-yard line. That's Halen Roberts. Roberts finding a little seam, gets ahead to the 31-yard line, is brought down, a gain of 13 yards, and we will get you going with your offenses right at the start of the game here. For the Meadowdale Mavericks, they come into this game with a record of 2 wins and 1 loss overall. 2 consecutive wins, one of which, by the way, an epic game last week. Down by 17 heading into the fourth quarter. They come back to kick a 44-yard field goal as time expires. And they defeat Everett in overtime 47-40. And here comes that offense led by quarterback Drew Tingstead. Kella Marshall over 400 yards rushing in the last 2 weeks. He's number 6. He's the halfback. You got one of your receivers, Will Schaefer, who had 7 catches last week, over 100 yards, kicked a field goal to put him into overtime, won the game on an interception at the end. He's out there wearing the number 3. Halen Roberts wearing the number 5. Here comes Kella Marshall on the very first play from scrimmage, and he doesn't find much room to run. Nice job from the Hawks. That is number 71 on the play, Zach Caudry. Let's get to the rest of that lineup before we bring Mr. Kostick on here in a moment. I already mentioned Halen Roberts, one of your receivers. Drew Harvey, also playing at a receiver. And Zach Plummer, the All-Wesco player last year, is your tight end. We'll get to the offensive line here in just a moment. 2nd and 9 from the 33-yard line. Tingstead looking to put it up in the air for the first time tonight and does. Finds Will Schaefer. Will Schaefer gets a few yards but gets swarmed right away. That's number 33 for the Hawks on the play. Connor Loyles making the tackle. The rest of your offensive line, it is Bryce Chapman at left tackle, Brendan Diaz left guard, Tom Cheney is your center, Hunter Clift is your right guard, and Alex Maxwell is your right tackle. We'll go ahead and get the Mountlake Terrace defense here shortly. It's 3rd and 2 coming up from the 40-yard line. Snaps a little bit high initially. Marshall looking for the first down, and he might have just found enough. And Dave Kostick, so far, if you're the Meadowdale, you're happy. You just move the chains. And also from the Mountlake Terrace Hawks standpoint, you gave up 42 points last week. Although your defense was fairly stingy, they look like they've come to play tonight so far.
We were talking about Meadowdale's win last week, epic comeback, and Kellen Marshall missed everything last week, had an incredible night. So I'm sure Terrace defense is eyeing him for most of the night.
Kellen Marshall with 2 carries already. Going to throw a little screen pass over to Harvey on the left side, looking for room. Finds a little bit, gets out to the 48, a gain of 5. Let's get you caught up on who the Mountlake Terrace Hawks are on defense right now. Your front 4, Keenan Curry is your defensive end. Yosef Abraha and Caleb Warren are your 2 nose tackles. Those are number 75 and 67. Curry wears the number 60. Brian Shelton, big number 77, is your defensive end. Get to the rest of that lineup here in just a moment. 2nd and 3 from midfield. Tingstead takes the snap, hands off to Marshall, who gets ahead for 3 yards. Might have come up just a bit short of the first down, so we'll call it 3rd and short. Your linebacking core, Connor Loyles, we've already mentioned his name. Thaddeus Merton, the sophomore, he's your middle linebacker wearing the number 34. Austin Bach is one of your other linebackers, number 14. His brother, Brandon Bach, the younger brother, number 9, he's your left corner. They're going to throw here on 3rd and 1. Another screen pass out to Harvey, gets ahead and picks up the first down. Moving those chains again. The rest of your starting defensive lineup for the Hawks. Number 28, Edgar Carbajal is your right corner. Your safeties are Nick Fisher and Keegan Grayson.
I think most high school need to throw the ball more than run, but returning starter, senior Drew Tingstead, is pretty comfortable in the pocket.
Tingstead indeed getting quite a few starts last year up until his injury. Been healthy so far this year, and it is certainly paying off dividends for the team. We'll get a little bit of movement. The Hawks might have lined up in the neutral zone, and I think that's exactly what the call will be. Again, in high school football, you're not able to jump back across the line. Once you cross that imaginary line, you are offsides, and that is a penalty.
Well, we have the perfect vantage point right here, right down the line.
So 2 first downs so far on this drive for Meadowdale. Now they get an additional 5 yards to start this drive. Just a little over 2 minutes into this ball game. This is the first possession of the night. Tingstead fakes the pass. He hands it off to Marshall. Marshall looking for space out to the right. Gets by one tackler ahead, puts his shoulder down, and just barrels over a defender. I believe that was number 24 on the play, Keegan Grayson. Marshall finally going out of bounds around the 24. Picked up around 14 on the play.
Looks like they pulled some linemen to go out and block for Marshall out there, and everyone is lined up, but there's one missed tackle by Mountlake Terrace DB, which kind of allowed him for an extra 10 yards.
So Meadowdale with trips out to the left. It's Zach Plummer, the tight end, closest to the line. They're looking out that way. They're going to throw to the right, throwing towards the end zone. Schaefer going up, overthrown. Brandon Bach all over him, and a late penalty thrown there. I thought for a moment maybe the ref would not throw it because of the fact the ball was thrown too high, but contact is contact, and we might be getting a pass interference on Bach.
Contact is contact, but it seemed like that flag was thrown well after the ball had already hit the ground and was bouncing out of the end zone.
we await the calls from the referee, and in fact it is pass interference. I want to give a shout out to our referee.
Feels quick, letting Marshall.
First quarter, Meadowdale, Mountlake Terrace yet to take the Sports Network. Taking over on their own 20-yard line, new quarterback tonight. Andrew Blair play, Anthony Gomez. This is a different look for the Hawks. Garrett McDowell had been the starter over the last couple of weeks. Mountlake Terrace trying to shake things up a bit. They've moved Blair to the starting quarterback. He was playing fullback in this wing T offense, and I wanted to see if we can maybe get a different look from the offense. So they made some adjustments this week, and hey, when you score 13 points against Cedar Crest and only 3 against Edmonds Woodway, what's the why not try something different? That's the thing, but also from the backfield. And we'll get to the Meadowdale defense here very shortly as well. 2 receivers set out to the left, 1 to the right. Blair's going to drop this ball, and falling on it is Jackson Foltz, and we've got our first turnover of the game. 6:25 to go in the first quarter. Mountlake Terrace finding they could pick up yardage anyway a little bit, but then they give the ball right back over at the 31, and Meadowdale in prime position to score possibly their second on their second possession of the night.
Yeah, obviously a momentum killer. For those at home who haven't put a football helmet on before, your vision really gets blocked. The ball was dropped right at the feet of the quarterback, and he turned around his left looking for the ball, but all he did do was look straight down. But a lot of times the helmet blocks peripheral vision.
So Meadowdale, again, best field position of the night. They took over their last drive at their own 31, this time on the other 31, and that ball is fumbled. Everybody's scrambling for it, and Mountlake Terrace gets it right back. Cullen Marshall with the dive up the middle. I'm not sure he ever had it in his hands.
We have a pretty good view right here. Yeah, it looked like the handoff was never clean, never fully grabbed.
Back-to-back fumbles, and Mountlake Terrace dodging a big bullet there as he gave Meadowdale a prime opportunity, and as it turns out 2 plays later, really all they did was lost 3 yards. Or I guess it was about 8 yards on that overall, and Mountlake Terrace now will take over for the second time tonight, this time on their own 26. 6:18 to go first quarter. Andrew Blair, he's going to hand off to Gomez. Gomez looking to run out to the left again. Tripped up on the far side of the field. Couldn't really tell who made that tackle from over here, but it looked as though it might have even been number 15 on the tackle, Jeremiah Koo, in on the play.
Mountlake Terrace has a new quarterback this week. You think Meadowdale defense will be just daring Mountlake Terrace to throw the ball. They've ran every play so far this first quarter. And just to keep them honest, you think they'd want to go down the field once or twice this drive.
2nd and 9 coming up from the 28. The pitch this time. Gomez finding a little space, puts his shoulder down, gets ahead to around the 33-yard line. We'll give him 5 on the play. That brings up a 3rd and 4.
Gomez a little patient there, waiting for the hole to develop, and then, yeah, he did sprint up the field pretty quick, and it's a nice little game.
Get to the Meadowdale defense here right now. Your secondary, Halen Roberts, number 5, is at a corner. Jashawn Butler, number 1, is at the other corner. Your free safety is number 3, Will Schaefer. Matt Johnson, number 25, is your other safety. We'll get to the rest of that squad here momentarily. 3rd and 4, they're going to pass finally. Ball is complete. Nice catch by Fisher. Tried to catch it up around his chest, started to lose the ball and had to bring it back in as he was going to the ground near his feet. Moves the chains, and Mountlake Terrace with their second first down of the night.
A great concentration by Fisher. Yeah, he didn't quite get it cleanly when it first hit his hands, but as it was dropping, he was kind of dropping down with it, thinking he was probably going to get hit by the defender. So with him going down with the ball, he was able to secure it before it hit the ground. So there's Mountlake Terrace's first pass and their second first down.
1st and 10 at the 40. Andrew Blair is going to hand this one to Fisher, his first carry of the night after getting the catch. Not going to go anywhere this time as he's stacked up at the line. And let's read you that defensive line right now. Your defensive ends are number 55, Alex Maxwell, and number 9, Jackson Foltz. Defensive tackle, number 54, Levi Kowalski, and your nose tackle is number 15, Jeremiah Koo. Your linebacking core, Quentin Bourget. He's a load. He has got his motor running at all times. He was wearing the number 48. Will Maloney wears the number 19. He's at your weak linebacker spot. I think we just got you all your linebackers in there. And we are ready here for the next play. 2nd and 10 coming up. 4 minutes to go, first quarter. 7-0 Meadowdale. Blair, a little quick pass out to the flat there on the right side. I believe that was Gomez that caught it. Gomez not going anywhere. Nice job on the defensive side. And we call his name a lot on offense, but we call it on defense too. The all-Wesco linebacker from last year, Kella Marshall, making the tackle.
Kella noi ka uahe ka uhana, Marshall.
Wow, look at you. You watched the video. I'm impressed.
You say I don't do my homework. And that will be the last time I try to do that.
Do you have that written down? Even?
I do have.
Wow, okay.
If I had that memorized, I drop the mic and go home. No, I do have that written down. That was a good name.
Yeah, Kella, who hails from Hawaii, and we'll get to that in a second here. Blair's going to throw it over the middle, lofts that one up. Dangerous pass, falls incomplete as his intended target was Nick Fisher. And you're absolutely right. We learned a little something from about him the other day. I believe we can credit Emily Carroll for that one from the volleyball team. As we were getting ready to do our interview the other night with Kella and Will. And I said, do you guys have anything interesting you can share with me or any stories before we go on the air that we can talk about? And of course, Miss Carroll bleeps out, you should ask him about his middle name. And I think we were talking, I think Will Schaefer's middle name was like George or something like that. It wasn't quite as cool. And
I thought it was James maybe.
Was it James? Yeah. Okay. It wasn't to whatever you read just now. But
no.
At any rate, first punt of the night for the Hawks. So he's going to land at the 40-yard line. That was Brandon Bach with the kick, and it takes a nice Meadowdale roll afterwards. It's going to get down on the 42-yard line, only a 19-yard kick. And Meadowdale, once again, will get field position. Not quite as good as the last possession, but certainly can't complain about your own 42 either.
Yeah, it looks like Meadowdale's running a fairly predictable offense, but when you have good players behind you, you can do that. So we'll see if Terrace defense adjusts at all, putting more of a helmet on Marshall and more pressure on Tingstead.
3:05 left, a little bit of a three-quarters of a diamond looked out here to the right. They had three receivers lined up. They're going to throw to Schaefer, a little screen play out on the side. He's going to get ahead, fumbles the football at the end of the play, and Terrace recovers it. Austin Bach celebrating initially. I think he had a lot to do with that hit. Ball was recovered by number 11, Jeswin John, all 5'7", 140 pounds of him. It's two straight plays now that Meadowdale's turned it over on offense.
Yeah, if you're Mountlake Terrace, you know you're getting a couple breaks here, even though you gave the ball up one time. But there's got to be some sense of urgency on that side. If they can't score at least 3 points after getting back-to-back turnovers against Meadowdale, it could be a little demoralizing. Meadowdale, we were saying last week, had a great victory. And you got to think, will this lead to more momentum following weeks ahead, or are they going to look past this game because it was such a great win for them? So that story will unfold tonight.
We will see. They're going to be at their own 46 here as Mountlake Terrace. Blair looking to pass. He's going to try to take off running and nowhere to go on that play. Kellen Marshall wrapping him up behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of 2 yards for the Hawks.
For the Hawks, too bad. It looked like the right side was open. You had a defensive tackle. He was the only one staying home on the left side, but I think he could have outran him because there's a lot of room on the other side of the field because we're at the near hash, and I think he had the edge if he took it outside instead of going between the tackles.
David, this is interesting. You and I have watched a lot of football. We've broadcasted football over the years. Certainly we've watched it all our life. Last time that you watched a football game and the quarterback was wearing the number 42. Doesn't happen very often. And this time 42 is going to keep it just like a running back. Flag on the far side of the field around the 43-yard line. Blair does get it forward for a gain of about 4, but we will wait to see what the call is.
Well, my answer is going to be probably Tecmo Bowl for the Gen Xers out there, but I haven't seen a 42 at starting quarterback.
Was there a 42 in the Tecmo Bowl?
You can make it. You could build your own team.
You can build your own team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you kind of get bored, you start putting different players at different positions. So this is good news for Mountlake Terrace.
Well, that's kind of what Mountlake Terrace did. They took their fullback and they made him into a quarterback this week. This penalty was, in fact, on Meadowdale.
It does kind of make sense. If you have a strong running game or a running offense, and I think it would be kind of easy to switch fullback to quarterback since I'm sure he knows most of the plays anyway that the quarterback would know.
Well, in the game against Seaholm 3 weeks ago, we did see Blair attempt a halfback pass, and it was a pretty impressive throw at that. Mm-hmm. It It was not completed, but at the same time, you definitely opened your eyes and you thought, okay, we could see this wrinkle again, and now we're seeing him at quarterback tonight. Blair right under center now. I formation, drops back to throw, going deep, overthrows his intended target. That's Keegan Grayson. Give a lot of credit to Jackson Foles on the defensive end, who was coming off that blind side on the right side there as well, and I think if Blair had waited about another quarter of a second, Fultz was going to hit him.
You were talking about his halfback pass a couple weeks ago. Yeah, he has an arm. That was 40 yards in the air, and looks like he threw it a little too soon for the receiver to get under it, but he does have the arm strength.
And Grayson just not quite able to come up with it. Halen Roberts was on the coverage on the play. 3rd and 7 coming up. Mountlake Terrace at their own 49-yard line. 2 minutes even showing on the clock right now in this first quarter. Blair's going to keep this one himself, tries to stiff arm one tackler, does a nice job to get down the field. He had about 4 guys on him by the time it was all said and done. Unfortunately, didn't have much room to run for him, only gains 2 yards. Mountlake Terrace once again with a decision now as they are looking at a 4th and 5.
They went for it on their own round 25 at 4th and 2. Missed it at midfield.
And judging by the personnel that's coming on the field right now, I think the Hawks are looking to punt this time as we'll see who drops back here. Halen Roberts over on the left corner. Jay-Sean Butler on the right. It looks like both of them, or at least Roberts is going to drop back.
If you're ever going to fake, middle of the field's a good time to do it.
Halen very quick, very good with the football. Let's see if he gets a chance here. Butler's going to field this one on the 20, only a 31-yard punt, actually a 29-yard punt, and Butler returns it all the way to the 38. So Mountlake Terrace struggling a little bit in the punting game. That was a net punt of 11 yards.
Yeah, not only just 29 yards in the air, it was pretty much a line drive. So that's kind of like made to order for a punt returner. You don't have to worry about getting popped by a defender coming down on you.
So for the 4th time tonight, Meadowdale's offense takes the field. It's good news, bad news for them. The good news is that first drive, they were able to take it down and score. Flip side of that, their last 2 drives have been one play and out, both with fumbles. Let's see what the Mavericks can do here as they take over on their own 38-yard line with 1:04 to go here in the first quarter, and the Mavericks already with a 7-0 lead. Once again, we get this 3-receiver set out here. Halen Roberts, the lead receiver. They're going to pitch it to Marshall and give him space to run out to the left. Little stutter step, cuts it back into the middle, and might have picked up 4 yards on the play.
Yeah, I think he got hit pretty much close to the original line of scrimmage, and he just sort of fell ahead for 4 yards.
Very impressed with both of these defenses so far tonight. That's a load there in Mr. Marshall. He had he's had a couple
of steam going there.
Big games lately, and the Hawks are keeping him fairly well in check. And we're seeing the same thing on the other side of the field for Meadowdale when the Hawks have tried to run. 2nd and 4 coming up. Tingsted's going to keep this one himself. Starts to trip, stumbles forward for maybe 2 yards. A very dangerous play. Looked like a little bit of a read option almost, where Tingsted decided to keep it. When he pulled the ball back, I thought he almost yanked his arm out too quickly to where that ball almost came flying out. It looked like as though he palmed it as he was kind of stumbling and almost lost it.
I think that's why he lost his balance. His body thought he was going to be leaning forward, but I guess Marshall thought he was going to get the ball, so he held it a little bit longer. That is a risky play in the middle of the field, especially since you've already fumbled the ball twice.
And we've come to the end of the first quarter. A big 3-2 coming up when we come back. Meadowdale 7, Mountlake Terrace 0. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network, presented by My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit Women's News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news about your community and see what your neighbors are talking about.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. Meadowdale 7-0 after 1 quarter of play. Looking at the overall stats, 86 yards for Meadowdale to 23 from Mountlake Terrace. Keep in mind, 69 of those yards coming on the first drive of the game. Meadowdale struggling a little bit since then. Kella Marshall, 5 carries for 35 yards. He leads Meadowdale. Mountlake Terrace, Anthony Gomez, 5 carries for 14 yards. Quarterback Andrew Blair, 5 carries for 3 yards so far.
For the Mountlake Terrace defense, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but Meadowdale has not really had a big play. I don't think they've had one 10-yard play, and that's the largest all day. But when Meadowdale decides to keep the ball, they've been driving.
Well, here comes one of the biggest plays of the night so far. 3rd and 2. Tingsted's going to throw to Butler out on a screen. Butler gets by the defense and finally stumbles down at the 36-yard line, a gain of 18 yards. Great play call there by Meadowdale as they threw out to Tayshawn Butler and needed 2, and he got much more.
Yeah, it's got to be nice having senior leadership at the quarterback position because Drew Tingsted just looks so comfortable and poised and in control back there that, like I said, it was a big play, 3rd and 2, and he delivered that strike right there.
So Tayshawn Butler getting a big yardage. He's going to go in motion this time. They hand it off to him. No, Tingsted keeps it himself. And we get whistles here as the play is blown dead, and there is a flag down on the 35-yard line.
Probably legal shift or a movement on offense for them to call it dead. Yep.
False start against Meadowdale. We'll push them back 5 more yards. Just got a text message from Scott Oshman, the play-by-play announcer for STSBN. Sounds like he had a doozy of a game tonight. Glacier Peak, I guess, trailed a lot of the game against Jackson tonight, came back and won 37-31. It's a game that Jackson was already a 4A school. Glacier Peak moves up this year, and a big rivalry game for those two. They are in each
They're
other's
neighboring schools.
As one coach pointed out to me recently, you can walk across the street and see different players on different schools. Butler finding space out to the left, gets tackled hard by Fisher, but not before he picks up 21 yards and another first down.
Nick Fisher, you don't like seeing that when you're a cornerback, but he got his nose in there and made a nice tackle.
Fisher actually the safety, but even at that, you're right, he's not a big guy, 5'10", 160, and Butler not super big either. He's 5'8", 165, but he was flying on that play.
He had the head of steam on him, yeah.
So inside the red zone, they're going to throw over the middle. That's Halen Roberts, touchdown Mavericks. Roberts with the 19-yard reception. And very quickly, Meadowdale flies down the field. 55 seconds into the second quarter, they are into the end zone for the second time tonight, and they've got the 13-0 lead.
That was a great draw play. Way to sell it by Tingstead, because looked up here like he did hand the ball off, but it was a 5-yard slant. Made it look pretty easy. Meadowdale did.
Officially a 5-play, 62-yard drive for Meadowdale. Schaefer in once again to attempt another extra point. And this one is blocked. Thaddeus Merton, number 34, coming through and getting his hand on the ball on that play. We'll see if that factors into the game later on. But right now, Meadowdale comfortably ahead, 13-0, 11:05 to go second quarter. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain. Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99. Call 425-877-5601 or visit jacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. 11:05 to go, second quarter. Halen Roberts hauling in the 19-yard pass from Drew Tingstead. Meadowdale up 13-0. I believe that's Nick Fisher that steps up to catch that one at the 16. Trying to find some opening in the middle and can't find much. He gets ahead for 14 yards, and the Hawks will take over their first possession of the second quarter at their own 30-yard line.
I've been accused of stating the obvious before, so why stop now? I think this is a pretty important drive for Mountlake Terrace Hawks, because a game like this, just watching it, you can feel a couple plays can really get away from them, and it'll be, I don't want to say running clock time, but just emotionally, like how do you come back when you're having a hard time just getting a first down, let alone putting points on the board?
Yeah, unlike when we got to the end of the first quarter, the last 55 seconds anyway, they feel like the momentum is completely, I wouldn't say it's swung because I don't think either team had it, but right now, Meadowdale certainly feeling it, as I believe that might have been Fisher again on the carry. Those dark red uniforms and black shirts are always a little bit hard to read sometimes up here, but...
Yeah, but back to that last drive, that 3rd and 13 that went for 18 yards. That was, if there was no momentum, that's what that started it for Meadowdale, and they moved the ball pretty easily after that.
So give him a yard gain on the play. Again, if you're just tuning in, number 42, Andrew Blair, player who transferred over from Shorewood High School last year, getting his first start at quarterback. He's been starting at the fullback position. This time he's going to throw over to Anthony Gomez. Just a quick little slant play right at the 37-yard line, 5-yard gain. Gomez making the catch. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 4. Give that tackle to Evan Ward, number 11, the 6', 175-pound junior linebacker.
That could be the kind of the pass and play that'll give your offense some confidence back there, because it's not a high-risk play, but you still got 6 yards out of it.
So we're going to call this 3rd and 2. It's a long 2 at that. 2 receivers set out to each side. Blair's going to just run it up the middle, puts his shoulder down, keeps going. Second effort gets him the first down. He gets ahead to the 43-yard line. Give him a gain of 4 on the play.
That was all hustle right there, because he got met at the line of scrimmage, but kept his feet moving and got 2 more yards.
Blair showing that he can get yardage on his own,
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly. I mean, at times he's getting blocking from the line, but even when he's not, he's still fighting for every inch, and he needed to that time. That was if he goes down on initial contact, we might be looking at the punt team right now.
I'm not sure which linebacker it was, or a strong safety. I think it was 48, Quentin Bourget, that plugged the hole, but
you see here,
not enough.
First and 10 from the 44. Blair looking to do the same. Gets forward for about a yard or two. This time they're bringing everybody, as you saw Kella Marshall go flying over the top. A few other players that were in on that play. Alex Maxwell, number 55, in there on the stuff as well. And Blair getting ahead forward. They'll give him forward momentum to the 46-yard line and a gain of 2.
If you're a Terrace fan watching this at home or here at the stadium, you might be thinking, hopefully Mountlake Terrace is trying to set up a fake draw with the quarterback running into the pile, almost like Florida, like a Tim Tebow, like kind of running in, because the linebackers are biting on that quick, and middle of the field is wide open. But we shall see what happens.
If you're Nostradamus at some point here, let's see if Dave Koshik can call the play. This isn't going to happen. That play is going backwards. That was number 5. That's actually Garrett McDowell, who is had been your starting quarterback the last couple weeks. And in fact, that might have been McDowell that had the play earlier, too, on the first handoff of this drive. Jeremiah Koo, number 15, big fella, 6', 230. Also a junior. He gets in on the tackle on that play. We've got a 3rd and 10 coming up here for the Hawks. 8:09 to go in the second quarter. And we're going to get a timeout. We'll take a quick 30-second break. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back onto the Sound Live Sports Network. Steve Willits along with Dave Kostrick. 8:06 to go here, second quarter. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks trailing 13-0. Trying to get something going right here on offense. 3rd and 10 coming up. Andrew Blair in shotgun formation. He's going to look to throw it into the flat and fires it over the intended receiver's head. That was Nick Fisher who was thrown in the direction of Quentin Bourget getting in there and putting the pressure on the quarterback, and that's going to bring up 4th and 10.
Yeah, even that, if that pass was completed, looks like Meadowdale was out there in coverage, so you'd be able to make the tackle.
So Meadowdale dropping Butler and Roberts back. Brandon Bach, the sophomore, back to punt. Gets off a high booming kick over everyone's head. It lands on the 10-yard line and is going to stop rolling right around the 1 and finally goes right to the goal line and picking it up. And what is the call? That was a 56-yard punt. And Jashawn Butler, I think if he had that one to do over again, they might say it finally touched down on the goal, and if it did, it's on the 20.
Well,
and that's exactly what they're saying.
Oh, wow.
Butler, in a way, was bailed out on that play. Not the wisest move on his part. But Brandon Bach, what a kick as that ball is brought out to the 20-yard line.
Hey, I don't blame the.
I think he panicked a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it first bounced, it looked like it was going well into the end zone.
Yeah.
The ball started hooking to the right and was going kind of diagonally like it was going to pop its way back around and make a U-turn almost. Yeah. And I think Butler just thought he needed to grab it. And really, at that point, it wasn't a live ball. He should have just let it go. But, again, he gets a little bit of a reprieve there as the ball's going to be placed on the 20. And Meadowdale will take over.
I'm not sure what the refs are talking about. It either crossed the line or didn't, but they're sticking with that call.
Might have been a matter of whether or not the ball or Butler were in the end zone, or if maybe both were. But at any rate, ball is on the 20.
Meadowdale catches a big break there.
7:48 to go. Tingstead fakes the handoff, looking to pass, getting pressured, throws, completes it down the field at the 45-yard line and pushed out at the 50. That's Drew Harvey. Drew to Drew, and what a play. And then we get a late flag at the last second as Keegan Grayson picks up Harvey and slams him to the ground, and that's going to be another 15 yards. And, boy, Drew Tingstead was feeling pressure immediately, stepped up in the pocket, knew where the line of scrimmage was. That was the key to that play. And as he ran up to the 20, just floated the ball down the field where Harvey was waiting for it. They get 30 yards plus another potential 15 here.
Yeah, and I'll be repeating myself. The Tingstead family's not paying me to say this, but he just has poise back there. Most quarterbacks, I think, would have tucked the ball down and ran for as many yards as he can get. Like you said, he kept his eyes forward, knew where the line of scrimmage was, and on a rope, his receiver, kind of wide open receiver on the sideline.
So again, that will count on the stat sheet as a 30-yard pass, but in reality, it's a 45-yarder. They are marking off that.
I think the penalty against Mountlake Terrace probably happened because it was right in front of the Meadowdale sideline. If it was on the other side, there probably wouldn't have been too many objections there.
Well, and the funny thing about that play is I don't know what – Keegan's a pretty good guy. We've gotten to see him play over the last couple of years in various sports. Mm-hmm. The whistle blew, and it was clear that it was blowing. We could hear it up here. Harvey started to run down the field. I wonder if Grayson might have even gotten a little confused on the play. I don't know if it was bad sportsmanship or just confusion on his part, but it added to 15 yards. Yeah. Here we get a little screen throw out into the flat there as Jackson Foltz catches it and gets ahead for a yard.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard hit or a rough hit. I think it was just more scuffling after the whistle.
It was if you were watching it, it was definitely a penalty because he picked him up and dropped him. So, by far it was a 15-yarder. Yeah. I just don't know what the intent was on his part. I think we've seen times where guys get frustrated or they act out. I don't think that's what he was doing. I think he was genuinely confused on that play, and it cost his team 15 yards. It was without a doubt a penalty.
It was late. It was definitely late.
And he was thrown down to the ground, too. So 1 yard on that play for Foltz. 7:03 to go here, second quarter. You get a little bit of confusion here as the play clock has not even started yet, so the referees are conferring right now.
Well, I don't know if you can see it on the TV, but when they snapped the ball, the yard markers were still at the last play. They were still down here on the 40-yard line. On Meadowdale's 40-yard line. So they had to come running down after the play was over. So that's probably the confusion.
Giving the yard markers a little breather, maybe even a little shot of water there as they've been – I would assume that's the same group that worked earlier tonight. I know it's the same the officiating crew from the 5 o'clock game. Clock starts back up, 6:58 to go here in the first half. Tingstead's going to pitch this one to Marshall. Marshall trying to sweep out to the left and is going to get dragged down by Loyals. Connor Loyals, the 6-foot, 180-pound senior, with a nice open field tackle there. And
Kella's limping. I don't know if you could catch that. It almost looked like a horse collar but instead of getting the hand behind the collar, was grabbing the jersey and got pulled down and twisted. His right leg kind of caught funny on the turf.
And, Marshall was injured in that Monroe game 3 weeks ago, missed most of that game. He left in the first quarter. And I know I talked to Coach Matt Leonard after the Redmond game 2 weeks ago on this very field, and that was a game in which Marshall had 183 yards rushing. And he said he thought Marshall was playing at 75% that game, so he might still be banged up a little. They're going to throw it towards the end zone. Fultz over his head, incomplete. It's going to bring up 4th and 9.
I don't know if that was the first time I've seen Drew Tingstead a little unpoised there, because he bobbled the snap. The ball was on the ground for a second, but when he picked it up, still a lot of protection there. So it's 4th and 10 now. 4th and 9 right now. Thank you, Steve. Looks like they're going to go for it. But you did say they have a pretty good kicker, but
yeah, he's good. I don't know if you want him kicking a 51-yarder, although he kicked a 44-yarder to send the game into overtime last week with plenty of room to spare, but they're going to keep the offense out. Tingstead looking over there, throws in Fultz's direction, incomplete, and we get a turnover on downs.
If you're Mountlake Terrace, you got to be feeling pretty good. You gave it the big pass play when you thought you had the quarterback sacked. On top of that, the 15-yard penalty, but after that, they squared up and then only allowed 1 more yard. So not to say a turnover isn't good for a defense, but it seems like it feels a little better if you're Mountlake Terrace that you're able to stop them, especially considering Meadowdale had 4 downs there to get a first down. And the offense can come out and try to get some momentum going into halftime.
So Mountlake Terrace for the 5th time tonight sending their offense onto the field. They've fumbled on their first possession, turning it over. They've punted the last 3. See what they can do here. They're going to hand off to Nick Fisher. Fisher looking to sweep outside, and Jeremiah Koo waiting for him. Loss of yards on the play as he went from right to left, and Koo just ate him up and threw him down for a loss of 3 yards.
As the half's progressing, you could see the Meadowdale defense getting a little bit closer every play, staying within that box and just daring Mountlake Terrace to throw the ball.
2-yard loss on the play. 2nd and 12 coming up for the Hawks.
And if Terrace can get any points on this drive, be good going halftime because they get the ball to start third quarter.
Here comes Blair. He's going to keep it himself this time, trying to run off tackle this time. Cuts it back towards the middle and does a nice job. Gets ahead to the 38-yard line. Not only give Blair credit on that play, but his offensive line getting some nice push.
Yeah. Seems like most of the success they've had on the ground is with Blair keeping it. I don't know if he just can see the hole opening up a little more quickly.
So it's going to bring up a 3rd and 5. They're spotting it at the 38, so it's almost closer to 3rd and 6. They need to get to the 44-yard line. 4:46 left here in the second quarter. Blair looks like he's going to keep it this time too. This time not finding much room. Jeremiah Koo, we'll get to call his name one more time. Number 15 on the tackle. Gain of 2 yards, and I have a feeling Mountlake Terrace might be punting for the 4th consecutive possession here as we see the special teams unit coming onto the field. .418 showing on that clock here, remaining in the second quarter. And Brandon Bach for the 4th time tonight, dropping back to punt. 56-yard kick on his last kick, a kick that went into the end zone. Alan Roberts dropping back to receive. Not quite as good of a kick this time. It hits at the 27 and rolls out at the 22, so it certainly gets a friendly roll. They're going to spot it, it looks like, on the 23, so we'll call that a 36-yard kick. And with 3:54 to go here in the second quarter, Meadowdale once again will bring their offense onto the field. Meadowdale team that has shown all quarter long that they can move the ball. It's just a matter of executing once they get down on the other side of the field. Scored a touchdown early in the quarter and then gave the ball away on that last drive. We'll try to get you some scores at halftime too and invite you to stick around. We will have a special guest. The Action at Jackson Plumbing halftime show coming up. Plenty of action going on all throughout Wesco tonight. We already reported the GP Jackson game. Tingstead scrambling to his right, looking downfield, fires across his body, almost intercepted as Thaddeus Merton had that one hit him right in the stomach. I don't think he even knew the ball was coming. He just took that angle that I don't think he was expecting it, and suddenly a ball's popping him right in the chest area there and falls to the turf incomplete.
I can almost see the cloud bubbles over the Meadowdale coaching staff's heads, like, don't throw the ball. And I guess you could say, fortunately for Meadowdale, the ball was incomplete.
And you certainly like to see your quarterback creating plays with his feet, and it's worked out to Tingsted's benefit a couple times tonight. That play did not. Zach Plummer, the tight end, finally getting his first catch of the game. And he's not going to find much room. Might have picked up 5 yards on the play.
28 for Mountlake Terrace. Edgar Carbajal.
Carbajal, the starting corner.
He had a receiver on him blocking him. He shed the receiver, made a nice one-on-one tackle.
Plummer's first catch of the night goes for 5 yards. It brings up a 3rd and 5 with 3:18 to go here in the half.
Here's another big play for the Mountlake Terrace defense. They can stop him here.
Trips out to the right. We get motion. Ooh, Mountlake Terrace. They might have got for it. I think they got away with one there. They were definitely in the neutral zone. Refs didn't see it. The whistle now, or the game clock is now down to 4 seconds to go. Tingsted finally gets off the snap, looks down the field, throws to an open Plummer out on the right. Plummer's going to get ahead to the 38-yard line. Nice open field tackle over there. Might have been Bach on the play, but again, Meadowdale kind of had that first down coming to them because really Mountlake Terrace had 2 guys jump off sides on that play.
They did jump, but I think they had their hands up, so their feet jumped up, and
Bodies
I don't know.
went forward, definitely. I think even Matt Leonard immediately pointed at the line judge and said,
So you don't have to touch the ground.
If you go over that, there's an imaginary line there. If you cross it.
Oh, then, yeah. Mountlake Terrace got away with that.
At any rate, they do get the first down. This time they're going to throw a little screen pass to Butler. Butler, using his quickness and speed, he gets into Mountlake Terrace territory all the way down to the 44-yard line, a gain of 18 on the play. So between the Plummer catch and the Butler screen, you get about 30 yards in 2 plays, and you go from having a 3rd and 5 to in midway down the field to being in the other team's territory.
And 2 relatively easy plays for Meadowdale because that 3rd and 5, that receiver was wide open. He ran 8 yards before he even had to make a move on a defender.
2:18 to show here in the first half. 13-0 Meadowdale. Already ahead by 13 and looking for more. Butler's going to get stacked up at the line of scrimmage. He had about 4 Hawks waiting for him on that play. It looked as though Zach Caudry, number 71, was in on the tackle. Yosef Abraha also in on the tackle. Caleb Warren also getting his name called, the 5'9", 263-pound senior. And that's going to bring up a 2nd and 12, a loss of 2. Meadowdale does have all 3 of their timeouts left. Tingstead scrambling, throwing downfield, guns it to Plummer at the 30. Plummer gets ahead to the 23. Gain of 24 on the play, and Plummer showing why he was an all-Wesco player last year, and Tingstead showing why he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league.
Another example of where Tingstead had an opportunity to run the ball for some good positive yardage for Meadowdale, but he saw an open receiver and made a great throw. They were both running away from the original line of scrimmage, so it was a pretty pass and catch.
We like to call a veteran move right there. He's going to pitch it back to Butler. Butler's going to get stacked up in the backfield. Might have lost 2 on the play, and I think one thing that we've certainly noticed on this drive, number 6 has not been on the field.
Yeah, like I said, I was specifically watching that leg when he was getting taken down. Kind of got taken down and spun at the same time, and he was able to get off the field on his own power, but it was a fast limp.
So 1:06 to go here in the first half. Meadowdale with 3 receivers split out to the left. And we're going to get a penalty flag thrown onto the field with 1:01 showing on the clock. Let's see what the call is this time. False start on Meadowdale, so that's going to make it a 2nd and 17. Good news for the Hawks. Bad news for the Hawks is that Meadowdale's shown that they can convert these tonight.
They can. I think now maybe the clock is in Mountlake Terrace's favor because if they can stop, if they can keep Meadowdale out of the end zone, I think it'll be a tiny victory. Even if they give up a field goal, it'd be a tiny victory going into halftime. Because really this defense has been for Mountlake Terrace has been on the field a lot this first half.
So we got 50 seconds and showing Meadowdale does have all 3 timeouts still. Tingstead steps up, throws towards the end zone. Touchdown at Mavericks! Tingstead to Zach Plummer. Plummer running right down the left sideline. And again, sound like a broken record, but once again, Tingstead stepping up in the pocket, under pressure, runs towards the line of scrimmage, keeps his composure, keeps his eyes down the field, finds an open man and throws it right on the mark. And what a touchdown.
And unlike the last play where he had a nice scramble and throw, this time he was right in the middle of all the action. All the defenders were right around him. He was able to get that ball out. He has a pretty quick release for assuming 17, 18-year-old throwing down the field like that. It was across the body, too.
Will Schaefer on for another PAT attempt. This one is not blocked. It is high, it is long, and it is good. And Meadowdale with the 20-0 lead with 44 seconds to go in the half. We'll take a quick break. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. Zach Plummer, the 6'2", 185-pound tight end, with the 30-yard touchdown catch from Drew Tingstead. 20-0 right now. Meadowdale in control as we get ever so closer to halftime as Brandon Bach returns that kickoff out to the 25. 37 seconds remaining here in the half on what has turned out to be a relatively nice night at Edmond Stadium. Probably easier for us to stay up here in the booth with the window open, but it's a little bit chilly out, but certainly the night is fairly clear. It's sunshine for the end of the Edmonds Woodway Shorecrest game. As long as the rain is staying away, everybody's pretty happy, and it is a nice night for football. So the Hawks going to take over here on their own 26-yard line. I mentioned they have punted on their last 4 possessions. And the only other possession they had was their first one in which they had a fumble. And is that ball caught? Almost incomplete. That ball was intended for Nick Fisher as Kellen Marshall back out on defense. We saw him take that last offensive possession off. Gets in there and might have even got his hand on that pass, which was a little bit underthrown at any rate, so it does fall incomplete. 30 seconds to go here.
Still good news. Marshall's back in.
Yeah, to get Kellen Marshall back.
Especially this close to halftime. Usually they'd want to wait, let him rest a little more, but they got to be feeling he's doing pretty good to put him back in for these last couple plays.
And Marshall, probably not a guy who likes to sit out any more than he has to. He loves Friday nights. He loves contact. Blair's going to throw it over the middle into a sea of hands there, but got it over the defensive players. Just threw it slightly behind Nick Fisher, and Fisher not able to come up with it. Brings up 3rd and 10. 25 seconds showing on the clock. If you're Mountlake Terrace, the one thing you're a little concerned about, not that there's a lot of time left, but certainly anytime you've got a special teams play coming up, you're always concerned for snaps going awry or whatever. You haven't taken much time off the clock on this drive. You've thrown 2 incomplete passes now. Meadowdale might be able to force you to punt here if you don't get a first down on this play. 2 receivers out to the left, 2 to the right. Kellen Marshall running up like he might blitz, and in fact, he is going to come up. They're going to give it to Blair, and he's going to keep it this time. Dives forward to the 32 for a gain of 6. And Matt Leonard wants to take a timeout, and in fact, he is going to make the Hawks punt with 20 seconds to go in the half. So Brandon Bach getting quite the workout with his foot tonight. He is now set to punt for the 5th time already. We'll keep it right here. Again, we want to Remind everyone to stick around at halftime. The Action Jackson Plumbing halftime report coming up. We'll get you caught up on some statistics. We also have a special guest joining us tonight to talk about some things. Oh, we've already put the special guest up, so no secret there. Deb, as Angelo Camo points at the screen, I was going to tease it, but it is Deb Anderson from the Edmonds School District Foundation. Did I say it right? Close enough. I didn't say it. She's shaking her head. What is it? Foundation for Edmonds School District. In fairness to me, the name has changed at least, I think, once or twice since I've been here. Twice since I've been calling the games over the last, I guess this is our 5th season now. But Deb Anderson will be joining us to talk about a fun event coming up next week. A fun event for people of all ages. Will be taking place next Saturday. So stick around to hear our conversation with Deb and to also, like I said, get you caught up on some stats. 4th and 3 for the Hawks. And then Bach fields the punt. Almost blocked. That was very close as number 55, Alex Maxwell, was rushing in there. Ball is fielded by Roberts. Spins off of a couple of tacklers. And give Roberts credit. He gets all the way to the 49-yard line. 9 seconds showing on the clock if you're Meadowdale. And again, you've got a kicker in Will Schaefer who's got a foot. He's got 2 feet, actually, but he's good with one of them at kicking a football. And could throw a quick pass or two here, get a couple timeouts. Maybe
I don't know, a pass or two, but I think get definitely one, quick one. But I think you're right on that punt. There was a high snap, and it almost got blocked. So 2 opportunities for Meadowdale to make life really bad for Mountlake Terrace. But
Schaefer lining up at the top of the screen on the far right side. Halen Roberts right inside of him. You got Zach Plummer in the slot. Here comes the throw. Tingstead looking down the field, dances around a little bit. Breaks away. 2 seconds shown on the clock, and this is going to be the final play of the half as Plummer is thrown out of bounds. Did a little bit of damage to the Mountlake Terrace Hawks stat sheet and certainly helped his own out as he gets a 23-yard catch. So really for Mr. Plummer there, a nice last minute of the half there as he gets over 50 yards and a touchdown. And we've come to the end of one half of play. Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 0. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be visiting with Deb Anderson and get you caught up on everything going on, not only here, but hopefully maybe even around the league. We'll have the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime report coming up on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com. We are proud to have as our pregame sponsor Edmonds Community College, where students and community are at the heart of all they do. Edmonds Community College is committed to helping our diverse body of students access educational and career opportunities in a supportive environment that encourages success, innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs. High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network is presented by My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmonds News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about. Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-
And welcome back to the Action Jackson Plumbing Halftime Report. Again, your halftime score, Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 0. Joining us right now from the Foundation for the Edmonds School District,
Yay.
Deb Anderson. Deb,
Hello.
you are back again. We had you for the 5 o'clock game, too. And so it sounds like we've had this conversation once or twice already this season. But we're going to talk about an event coming up. But first, what exactly is the Foundation for the Edmonds School District?
Well, we are the fundraising arm for the Edmonds School District. So our job is to bring in resources to help fill in the gap where there's a lack of federal and state funding, and to help support students where there might be gaps in learning or opportunities to try to help get our students lifted up to on the right track for graduation, extra leg up if they need it, and we want our students to be career and college ready when they graduate.
I guess the obvious question for some folks is, why did they need a foundation? Because doesn't federal government, don't they support all these programs, and don't we pay as taxpayers for everything the schools need?
You do as taxpayers pay for education, but Washington State is one of the largest states, or one of the highest states in the United States that pays the lowest per student for education. And so our job is just to help bring in those resources in to help fill in the gap. So we fund programs from post-secondary scholarships, students who are not English language speaking students to test positive or test proficient in their native language and earn world language credits. We provide stipends for our students who are taking college level coursework in the high school to convert that from a high school credit to a college credit. We do classroom projects and school-wide grants that enhance student learning. We buy books for libraries, and our most recent program that we launched a couple years ago is our Nourishing Network program. It's our weekend meal program to feed our hungry and homeless children in the Edmonds School District.
And we should point out this is a school district fund. I mean, it's not. We're so used to talking about high school on Friday nights here, but how many schools are in the district?
So we have 33 schools in the district and over 20,000 students on all of our campuses. We are the largest school district in Snohomish County.
Yeah, and 20,000 students, so there's a lot of funding that's needed for all these various programs and whatnot. And in order to fund these programs, we need to raise money sometimes,
we
right?
need to raise money. That's what we do. That's our job.
And you have an event coming up next Saturday that will, in fact, go towards the foundation.
We do. It's our 8th annual Celebrate Schools 5K run. It's at Alderwood Mall. It starts and stops in front of Lowe's Theater. And come on out. Enjoy. Join us. Have a great time. It's pet-friendly, stroller-friendly, family-friendly. It's really a good time.
And for the person listening going, well, I don't know if I can run 5K. Do you have to run?
No, you can walk it. I don't run. I walk. So, we walk.
And it's not just for the runners / walkers. There's a little bit of everything going on there.
There is.
Something for everyone in some ways. What else is going on there?
Well, our high school drum lines, they perform for everybody, and they duke it out for some money for their music programs.
And that's all 4 schools?
This year it's going to be 3.
Oh, 3, okay.
One school has a schedule conflict and they can't make it, so the other 3, they get to fight for the top dollar and top dog. So, and then we have a children's fun run. That's free to kids ages 10 and under. We have a lot of activities and crafts and things for the children to do. So that Build-A-Bear will be there, Legos, American Girl, and then just our different sponsors will have activities. Frontier's going to bring their video van, so it's going to be a great time.
Nice. And you don't have to show up and register at the event. You can register online too, right?
You can. FoundationESD.org. You can go online to register there. You can join us at one of our pickup events at the Linwood Fire Station next week, Thursday and Friday, or you can register the day of. So,
So plenty of options there for you as well.
Lots of opportunities.
So again, next Saturday, which is October 1st, which
Correct.
I'm still trying to get used to thinking that next week is October already,
I know.
it comes quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
October 1st, right in front of Lowe's at Alderwood Mall.
Yes, Lowe's Theater.
Everyone and anyone is able to participate. And again, the website
Everybody's
one more
welcome.
time.
FoundationESD.org. And everybody's welcome. Please come out and join us.
And we should point out, too, that this is a fundraising event, but it's not your only one. You've got other events coming up throughout the year, too, right?
We do. So we support the Read Across America event. It's a celebration of Dr. Seuss's birthday, and we have 2 reading events that take place in downtown Edmonds and also the city of Linwood. And it's the first Saturday in March. we have our annual breakfast that will be on May 12th at the Linwood High School. And then, of course, our STEM Expo is a big expo now, and it supports our students in STEM initiatives. And a large majority of our students go on to state, regional, national, and even international competitions now. That's how strong our STEM program is. It's exciting, yeah.
So a lot of good events going on, and it's certainly for a wonderful cause, and a cause that's necessary. So if you have kids in the Edmonds School District, or if you live in this community, it's vital that you help out with these programs. But first and foremost, October 1st, next Saturday, get out to the 5K. And again, foundationesd.org, right?
Correct.
There we go.
Right on.
Deb Anderson, thank you very much for coming in again.
Thank you, Steve. Good to see you.
You as well. And maybe we'll see you in 8 days at the event at the Alderwood Mall.
I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
I think I'm going to try to make it this year.
Okay, good job.
Here we go. So we're going to take another quick break. Again, you're watching the Action Jackson Plumbing Halftime Report. Our score, Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 0. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com. High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network is presented by Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmonds News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, and events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about. We are proud to have as our pregame sponsor Edmonds Community College, where students and community are at the heart of all they do. Edmonds Community College is committed to helping our diverse body of students access educational and career opportunities in a supportive environment that encourages success, innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs. High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network is presented by My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmonds News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, and events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about. Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back to the Action Jackson Plumbing Halftime Report. We appreciate Action Jackson's support. Looks as though we've got a couple brackets to put up on the screen right now as I'm looking at Angelo Como, finding out which one. We're actually looking at the Meadowdale schedule as we speak. Meadowdale looking to go 3-1 on the season if they can get this win tonight, and right now they're in good shape. They will be playing their homecoming game next week at 8 o'clock. It's against Shorewood. Not a bad team to put on your homecoming schedule. Just saying. Did I say that out loud? Meadowdale looking to maybe go 4-1 by this time next week. And they will be playing an 8 o'clock game. And following week, Linwood. The Linwood team that at last check was defeating ahead of Snohomish 31-27. I think that's in the fourth quarter. Linwood looking to maybe go 4-0, so that could be a good game. And then you've got other games coming up, Shorecrest, and then a game that everybody at Meadowdale always marks on their calendar. I believe we're calling it Jam the Stands right now. I've heard it called by a couple different names over the last few years, but it's Jam the Stands against Edmonds Woodway. That's on the 21st before their final regular season scheduled game against Snohomish on the 28th. And do we have Mountlake Terrace to put up there? Yes, we do. There's the Hawks schedule coming up. Mountlake Terrace next week on the road at Shorecrest. The Shorecrest team that we just watched lose 54-0 earlier tonight. Mountlake Terrace then returns back home on Friday the 7th to play Everett, then go to Snohomish before coming home for 2 games against Linwood and Shorewood.
And which game is the homecoming game for Mountlake Terrace?
Mountlake Terrace's homecoming game is the 7th. That's the Everett game on October 7th. 2 weeks from tonight. And then we've got our 2 games coming up next week. So our doubleheader next week, as you can see on the screen, Edmonds Woodway coming off that 54-0 victory tonight, taking on Linwood. That could be a huge game. And then you got Shorewood Meadowdale, the homecoming game that we just talked about, coming up at 8 o'clock. Hawks out on the field warming up right now. Meadowdale doing the same. We do have some scores to pass along to you. Just mentioned that last time we checked, Linwood moved ahead of Snohomish in what should be a great battle tonight. 31-27 in the fourth quarter. Looking down at some other scores right now. Squalicum 40, Stanwood 0. That's now a Westco game, which sounds weird, but Squalicum joining the league for football this year. Did see a Mariner-Kamiak score a few minutes ago. Kamiak leading Mariner 12-7 in the fourth quarter. Mariner, I think, just got on the board a few minutes ago. The battle for Mukilteo School District right there.
I'm still wondering where what was that?
Squalicum.
Squalicum.
That's up in Bellingham.
All right.
Relatively new school in the last, I want to say, 10 years or so. Squalicum, who is interesting. They just became a 3A school this year. And one of the few 3A schools up there. Most of the schools in the Northwest Conference are 2A and 1A. Ferndale had been a 3A school over the last few years. The sole 3A team in that conference. Ferndale and Squalicum, for all other sports, are going to continue to play in the Northwest Conference. For football, it just makes it easier for them to come down here, since we're always trying to figure out where to slot them for playoff spots anyway, with 2 teams independently by themselves. So rather than trying to figure it all out, they asked them to join the Westco 3A North Division this year, which they did. And that's, in turn, why we bumped Everett down from the North Division into the South to even things out a little bit. So Squalicum and Ferndale join the North. Everett joins the South. Glacier Peak becomes a 4A school, so they leave our conference and are replaced by Snohomish. So if you have your pen and pencil out, perhaps you got that all figured out. I probably just confused the heck out of people, but, it happens. So, having said that, a lot of games to watch around Westco tonight, and we'll try to keep you updated on some other scores. One other game that we gave you earlier, Glacier Peak, apparently with a come-from-behind 37-31 victory over Jackson tonight. Also, the Berry Bowl is happening tonight. Do you know who plays in the Berry Bowl every year? Let's see if you can get
I
this
don't
one.
Know who plays.
Big rivalry game. Berries.
Snohomish Cascade.
It's a good guess, but it's not quite correct. It's Marysville-Getchell and Marysville-Pilchuck. that long tradition Getchell-Pilchuck game. Well,
they're north of Alderwood Mall, so.
Yeah, well, it's not really that long of a tradition. Getchell's about a 6-year-old, 7-year-old school. So, but at any rate, Marysville-Pilchuck looking for their first victory this season. They're up 28-7 at last check. See if we've got some other scores tonight. And
wow, Pilchuck's down this year. I mean, they've been a powerhouse for almost seems like generations.
Yeah, well, especially 2 years ago when they got to the semifinal game against Bellevue. Marysville-Pilchuck 0-3 this year, but their 3 opponents, doing this off the top of my head here, it's Snohomish, Linwood, and Squalicum. So they've lost to 3 very tough teams so far this year. So this is a chance for them to get on the win column, and they look like they might be about to do so up in Marysville tonight. Don't ask me who the home team is. They share a stadium, so it doesn't matter. Much like these 2 teams we're watching here, 2 teams that share an Edmonds stadium, and we're about to see this game. And Dave, I got to point out one more stat as we're talking scores and even some of the blowouts. This is the 4th week of football for us. So we've been here 4 straight weekends, 2 Friday games a week. So this is game number 8 for the year. And I've also watched the 9th game. I watched the Thursday night game a couple weeks ago between Oak Harbor and Kamiak. So this is my 9th high school football game of the season.
All right.
So far, the closest football game I've seen this year was Meadowdale's victory over Redmond. The final score was 30-0.
Well, unfortunately, I may have bad news for you because watching the first half of this game it's two complete different teams out there.
If Mountlake Terrace can keep it within 9 this half, I'll have seen my closest game of the season. And Brandon Bach's going to try to do what he can to change that, and he's not going to do much as he gets out to around the 17-yard line. Quentin Bourget in on the tackle. Number 21, Austin Goulet also in on the play, and Mountlake Terrace down by 20, and good news for them, they've got the ball to start the half. The bad news, didn't even make it out to the 20. So Mountlake Terrace in the first half, 5-play drive in which they fumbled, a 6-play drive in which they punted, 3-play drive and punt, 5-play drive and punt, 3-play drive and punt, 3-play drive and punt. See what the Hawks can do here if they can get any kind of offense going. Andrew Blair once again at quarterback.
Oh.
Gomez takes it around the right, and Gomez is running down the sideline to the 40, the 30. He's got Butler to beat to the 10, the 5. Touchdown! No! They're going to say he stepped out or was pushed out at the 1-yard line. No, there go the hands. Touchdown, it's Harris. Anthony Gomez with the 81-yard run. We all of a sudden have a different ball game.
I don't know what was said at halftime. I don't know if it's Terrace being prepared or Meadowdale just rolling with their momentum, but that seemed like a pretty simple play. I couldn't see it. It was away from us, so I couldn't see if there was many missed tackles, but who scored that? That guy was
Anthony Gomez, I believe.
Anthony Gomez had some burners on.
Gomez running down that far sideline off to the right. And he had Jayshon Butler, who was trying to come over from I believe it was from the right corner position, had a decent angle on him. We were watching that entire play, and you could tell if he could get by Butler, nobody else was going to catch him. It was just a matter of
the angle, but it was almost Forrest Gump breakaway speed.
And Brian Shelton with a kick. It is up. It is good. And all of a sudden, forget everything we just said about 3 and outs. 1 and done.
Yeah.
81-yard touchdown for Gomez. Hawks are on the board. We're going to take a break. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network. And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. 20-7, Mountlake Terrace getting on the board at 25 seconds into the half. Anthony Gomez running down the sideline for an 81-yard touchdown. And Malik Kiba on to kick off. Jayshon Butler back to receive. Ball's going to land at the 18-yard line, bounces to the 11 where Butler finally fields it. Butler finding a seam, gets into the open field and is finally brought down by number 5. That's Garrett McDowell at the 43-yard line, but not until he gets a 32-yard return.
That was a really nice return, obviously, but Garrett McDowell saved probably 6 points right there because there was no one between him and the sideline and the end zone. That was a nice open field tackle.
He was spotted at the 44-yard line.
Yeah, with Meadowdale wanted to get momentum back, that was a good way to start it. So we'll see how they come out here, if they're confident, especially led by senior quarterback Drew Tingstead, if he'll still be as confident now, knowing that Mountlake Terrace can now put some points up on the board.
So Tingstead with 2 receivers out to his left, 2 to his right. Of course, he's got Keller Marshall in the backfield. This one's going to get pitched out to Marshall, runs out to the right, gets ahead past midfield, might have even gotten to the 49-yard line. Give him a gain of 6.5 on the play. We'll bring up a 2nd and 4. We'll call it 7 right now. So a 2nd and 3 as Tingstead looks over to the sideline. Head coach Matt Leonard gives him a signal. He's back and ready to go. We're just a little more than a minute into the second half of play. Marshall up the middle. And Thaddeus Merton, he spins him down at the 47-yard line. Might be just a bit short of a first down as Merton, the sophomore, making a nice play on
they're giving
open
it to
field
him.
tackle.
Excuse me, Steve. Yeah, they're giving it to him. The near side line judge gave him a pretty good spot there, but first down regardless.
Actually gave him a very nice spot to the 45, all the way a good yard past that first down marker. So Tingstead now looking at a 1st and 10. Going to hand off to Marshall one more time. Marshall going to the short side, which is the right side of the field. Gets ahead to the 37, a late flag. I'm not sure if initially I thought maybe they were going to throw it for tackling out of bounds, but that flag came out of the pocket right before the tackle, so I'm not sure what the call is. It's thrown about 2 yards behind where the tackle was made. And actually they are going to throw it almost right where the tackle took place, so we'll see if in fact that is a defensive call or not.
Waiting for that. Zach Plummer, tight end.
And they're going to call a holding on Schaefer down the field, blocking as a wide receiver.
But before that, I'm sorry, Zach Plummer, great block on the outside, actually allowing for the 10-yard run, but all for naught for Meadowdale. But like to give the blockers some airtime too, but senior captain Zach Plummer.
And Plummer getting it done with his catching ability and his blocking, as we mentioned right at the end of the first half, getting that nice 30-yard touchdown catch. Turned around and made a nice play also right at the end of the half as time was expiring. This handoff's going to go to Butler. Butler using his quickness to get up the middle, swung down, continues to keep the legs pumping, gets all the way down to the 36. It was a 1st and 12 to start the play. He gets 11 yards, so we'll call it a 2nd and 1.
And the fathers watching this are wondering if they make tearaway jerseys anymore, because he'd still be running.
Tingstead thrown out to Schaefer. We're going to get a whistle before the play was even snapped.
I don't see a flag, but
perhaps the referees just weren't set yet. It's Matt Leonard not happy, the head coach at Meadowdale, trying to talk to one of the back judges right now. I think he feels as though the ball had been set down and he wanted his team to do a quick snap, and unfortunately for him, the referees saying they weren't in place and ready to go, and they whistled the play dead, and potentially foiling a nice gain by Meadowdale as they had a quick throw out to Schaefer ready to go. 2nd and 1 still. Fake the handoff. They're going to still throw to Schaefer, and met in the backfield. The sophomore, Brandon Bach, stepping up. 5'7", 147. Bach reading that one perfectly. As soon as the junior Schaefer caught the ball, Bach was all over him.
Well, I was just praising Zach Plummer a play ago. This time, Zach Plummer got beat, and you can see him kind of mad at himself for not containing that block.
No gain on the play. Still 1 yard to go. 3rd down coming up. Tingstead fakes the handoff, throwing down the field to Plummer over his head, and nice job by the safety there, Nick Fisher. I'm sure he was tempted to put a hit on Plummer. If he does, that's a 15-yarder.
Did you see that fake by Tingstead?
It looked like he tucked it under one arm and faked the throw with the other.
He faked the throw, and he put the ball in his left hand, and then put the back up. Yeah, that was.
You don't see that very often.
No, I've never seen that.
So 4th and 1. You had a 2nd and 1, you couldn't convert. You had a 3rd and 1 and couldn't get the job done. What are you calling up here on 4th and 1?
Well, selfishly, I want to see the kick. I want to see this kid's leg, but we're not going to see it on this play.
You have a big guy, number 6 in the backfield. Or you also have number 10. He's going to do it himself. Well, kind of by himself.
Yeah.
He has a convoy of linemen blocking for him, and they push forward for an 8-yard gain, maybe 9 yards. Great execution by both Tingstead and his O-line.
He got the first yard by himself, and then the next 7 were the team.
So 9:18 to go here, 3rd quarter. 2 receivers split out to the left. Marshall's going to get the handoff this time. Pushes his way forward, finally has to spin off of a couple of tacklers and falls ahead past the 25-yard line, gain of 3. And I like the fact that Tom Davis, our PA announcer, giving Brendan Diaz a little love there. As Diaz, the center, getting a nice little push there up the middle. 6 foot, 340 pounds. That helps. Tingstead rolling out to the right, looking downfield. Throws an out pattern, nicely done to Will Schaefer. Schaefer getting pushed out at the 23. We'll give him a gain of 12 on the play. Also give Meadowdale another first down.
Tingstead makes it look so easy. Just kind of glides out to his right, waits for the receiver to turn around, and the ball's waiting for the receiver when he does.
Well, they're going to spot it at the 14-yard line right now. 8:42 left here in the third quarter. Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 7. Tingstead a pitch to Marshall. Marshall cutting back into the middle, or towards the middle. Did he get in? They're going to say he was out at the 1. I don't know. I thought that was a touchdown. One referee signaling touchdown. Another one trying to spot him out at the 1.
Looked like his body went out of bounds, but I think he was able to keep the ball in play. I thought it hit the cone, but
I'm going to be honest. I think they just robbed Keller Marshall of a touchdown. Yeah, you're right. I mean, his body was going out. He did do a nice job of holding the ball over the pylon. I said he cut into the middle. He cut towards the middle from that sideline. It was a beautiful cut on his part, just to kind of stay right within that line there and
if he's
down in open space. Let's see if they reward him on the play. Marshall up the middle, touchdown to Mavericks. For the second time tonight, for the 6th time in 2 weeks, Marshall finds pay dirt. Meadowdale back on top, 26-7 with 8:35 to go. A drive that took exactly 3 minutes.
I think we could stop worrying about his leg now. Coming back in from a little injury at the end of the first half and have that impressive finish to a drive.
So Will Schaefer on to kick the extra point. Tingstead to hold. Kick is up. And the kick is good. 3 minutes and 25 seconds into the half. Each team with one possession. Each team with one touchdown. 27-7 Meadowdale. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back to the Sound Alive Sports Network. 8:35 left here in the third quarter. Meadowdale closing out a 56-yard drive with a 1-yard touchdown run to Keller Marshall. And Dave, as I pointed out a minute ago, sometimes when a guy gets that close to the end zone, when he probably should have had a touchdown to begin with, it's good that the coach recognizes it and makes sure that they reward him with the touchdown.
That is true, but even if Marshall didn't get it, it's not like he's starving for attention this year. He's been in the end zone many times, so it's not like they brought a center in to be an eligible back and he got robbed. But
let's see, he had 2 touchdowns against Redmond. He had 4 last week, 3 of which were rushing, 1 was a catch. He's got 2 more tonight. Doing the quick math, that's 8 this year. Didn't have one in the Monroe game. He only had 3 carries before leaving with an injury. And I think he had 14 touchdowns last year as a junior. So I have a feeling he's going to, if he stays healthy, he's going to eclipse that number and then some.
The Meadowdale offense looks very good tonight. Even when they have a bad play, it's like they never have back-to-back bad plays, so they can correct mistakes quickly. There's that leg.
And you pretty much know that when Will Schaefer's kicking the ball off, if he wants you to, you're going to start on the 20 every time. As a reminder, in high school, if that ball crosses the goal line, it is automatically down. You don't get the option to bring it out. So Mountlake Terrace, for the second time this half, bringing their offense onto the field. Worked out pretty good the first time, a 81-yard touchdown run on the first play. First play from scrimmage, anyway, in the third quarter.
Yep.
Hawks, who hadn't at that point had a touchdown in 2 weeks, as they were held to a field goal against Edmonds Woodway last week. Good to see them get a little spark going on the offensive side of things. We'll see if they can continue it now.
Yeah, it's really the first play all game tonight for Mountlake Terrace to see open field, and be able to exploit that. So it's got to be a good feeling. Let's see if they can push the ball, sustain a drive, get some first downs.
Andrew Blair dropping back to pass. He's going to throw deep on this play down the sideline. Austin Bach goes up. A lot of contact. A flag did get thrown at the 32-yard line, away from where the pass was intended.
And I keep looking at that ref. It's like he may call pass interference also because he was out of a – he only has one flag to throw, so he was looking at the receiver.
Very good point. Jaden Jackson was on the defense of that pass, by the way, that intended for Austin Bach. And, boy, from here it looked like Jackson was playing Bach more than he was the ball, so we'll see what the call is.
Yeah.
Could even, where the flag was thrown, if it is in fact around the 30, could even get a defensive holding, and that's what they call. You see that quite often about 10 yards down the field. Yeah. It's usually an area where there's no blocking taking place, so if there is going to be a call, it's generally on the defense, and it's usually either illegal contact downfield or a hold, and that's what they called.
And obviously if you're a Meadowdale coach, you don't want to see that, but it's better than giving up 6 points, which you probably could do. Sometimes you get beat as a DB, and you can either give up the points or give up the 10 yards. This is in the NFL. Well, this would have still only been a 10-yard penalty in the NFL, but if it was pass interference, it's still was a 10 or 15-yard penalty instead of the spot of the ball.
10-yard penalty here does give them a first down at the 30. The one thing that if you are a Mountlake Terrace fan that you have to be impressed with, Andrew Blair is showing that he's got an arm, and it's giving them a downfield option that they haven't really had all year so far. Gomez with the run gets tackled in the backfield. Flag does come flying into the trenches there somewhere right around the 27, 28-yard line. So on top of the loss of yardage, you might see this penalty going against the offense.
Jayshon Butler for Meadowdale with the tackle. The cornerback comes in. He was the only one unblocked, and he gets the running back for a -4 yards. That the coaches will like.
So the referee's still having a conference right around the flag there at the 27. There's in fact a holding call, and they're going to decline it. Say, rather than have you go back 10 yards and replay the down, we'll take the -3. Interesting call, actually. I'm a little surprised that maybe Coach Leonard didn't take it, figuring that you're basically telling them you have to get 7 yards on this next play just to make up for it. Could go 1st and 20, but hey, second and 13 sounds pretty good too.
Yeah.
A defense, and that's where the Hawks will be playing this one from. Blair goes back. He's going to throw deep down the right sideline again, going up for the ball.
Wow.
And the ball is caught. I believe that might have been, it was Brandon Bach, the sophomore.
Brandon Bach was out-positioned, out-jumped, and he was shorter than the DB, but he was strong enough to get that ball. Looked like they both had it. He just ripped it away and landed on the ground with it. Nice play. And if there's that arm again,
if there's been one bright spot for Mountlake Terrace all season long, number 9 is a player that people are going to have a lot of fun watching for the next couple of years. Bach had a phenomenal year as a freshman last year for a freshman team that went undefeated. And Bach has really made his presence known here early on in the season. Blair's going to keep this one. Flags all over the place this time. 2 of them in the same vicinity around the 45-yard line. Blair gets tackled right around the 38. We'll see if this play stands.
It's one of the positive news for if you're a Terrace fan. Not the best.
They are, in fact, going to call holding again on Mountlake Terrace. This time the penalty is accepted. Push the Hawks back 10 yards.
Not the best run blocking from the Mountlake Terrace offensive line, but Blair's had a lot of time back there to throw the ball. So if you want to build on a passing game, the offensive line looks like they're giving their quarterback plenty of time to get the ball off.
And not only did they make a quarterback change this week, and we haven't really had a chance to talk to Coach Dugan much about what they were working on. We knew there'd be some adjustments and some changes after the last couple of weeks of offensive futility, if you will, especially last week with only the 3 points. But quite frankly, a very different look offense for the Hawks. They're going to a lot of 4 receiver sets, which you have right now.
Oh, yeah.
Spread offenses. I mean, this is a team that's been running wing T for 2 years now. And Blair, he's going to throw deep one more time down the sideline. Very similar to that last play. It looks as though they might have gone for Bach, but the other Bach, that was Austin this time, older brother. And that is, in fact, who that was intended for. As
that ball was thrown a little too far wide. That was out of bounds, so not as much a dropped ball as out of bounds.
And Jaden Jackson really getting tested by the Bach family.
Yeah.
This entire drive here, as he's had to defend 3 different passes now on that right side, 2 of which intended for Austin Bach, 1 to Brandon Bach that was caught.
Yeah. Well, he's out there by himself. There's no safety help, so.
2nd and 22. They're going to hand this one off, and a little bit of an extra block at the end of the play there is Zach Cottery letting his presence be known to number 55, Alex Maxwell. Play went up the middle for about 2 yards. Maybe even 1 yard. They're going to call it about a 3rd and 21 right now. 3rd and 23, I guess, is what they're putting up on the board. So Mountlake Terrace, they're going to need a lot of help. And I just got a text from Teresa Whipple letting us know that Linwood has, in fact, defeated Snohomish 31-27. So the Royals are 4-0 in what was billed as kind of the biggest game of the year in the Wesco 3A South. Blair's going to look over the middle, floats one. Ooh, what a hit. Jackson timing that one out. That ball might have floated just a little too long as Nick Fisher went up. And Jaden Jackson put a little pop on Fisher, made sure that he wasn't going to catch that ball. And we're going to have a 4th and long, and we're going to have the Mountlake Terrace punt team back out on the field. I have a confession to make, David. It's not really a confession because it was in the Everett Herald this morning, but
Okay.
I did, in fact, pick Snohomish to beat Linwood today. I thought I was picking with my head, not my heart. My heart wanted Linwood, and I get my heart the victory there, and I'm very happy for the Royals. 4-0 is huge for Coach Bankhead and his squad.
Do you have to get your head shaved? I remember a couple years ago you made a bet and lost.
No, sir. No, sir. We did not go head shave on that game.
Okay.
Ball is fielded at the 21-yard line. That's Butler with the return. Gets ahead to the 40, a 19-yard return for Butler. And that is where the Meadowdale offense will start the second drive of the second half with 6:25 to go here in the quarter. But yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of us, and granted, there's a lot of football to be played, and Meadowdale and Edmonds Woodaway are both going to have something to say before it's all said and done. Maybe Everett, for that matter, too, who played Meadowdale tough last week. I think some of us, after 3 weeks, were thinking that the 2 teams to beat in Wesco 3A South might be Linwood and Snohomish, possibly. And for those 2 teams to play a game that went down to the end here. And there's a bomb. Dan Barhom running down the sideline, the sophomore getting open. Tingsted overthrowing him, so the ball falls incomplete.
Well, Tingsted, that was a good throw. If the receiver kept moving, it would have been on. It looked like he stopped a little bit, and then he tried to catch up to the pass. But nice arm on Tingsted. But you talk about the teams. You're mentioning Marysville's now 0-3, or Pilchuck's 0-3.
Yeah, different conference, so we're talking about
Different
the South,
conference,
but,
but I think, we've been watching football here so long. There's just some schools you think are going to be winning and some schools you think are going to be losing. So, fortunately for Linwood, they're changing that reputation around for them.
And Marshall, fake the handoff to Marshall. He keeps it. The ball's fumbled.
Oh.
And boy, Tingsted getting lucky on that one as that ball bounced back into his hands. We do have a flag down at the 41-yard line. It's a Linwood team that, quite frankly, has probably got a 1-year window. A ton of seniors on that team, and not a lot coming up as far as the juniors and sophomores behind them in terms of what they've accomplished so far. So really, this is their year, and that's a team that last year had their first winning season since 1999.
Yeah.
And that was a 6-4 year. Now they're 4-0, getting past a big game against Snohomish. So Coach Bankhead, and we've gotten to know some of those players a little bit. Alton Hammond, who's been a fun kid to watch the last couple of years, and great kid at that. And Riley Johnson, I think he had the final touchdown tonight in that game. Great for them. So real happy for the Royals. Nice to see one of our Edmonds School District teams undefeated after 4 weeks. And I'll tell you what, that game earlier tonight, Edmonds Woodaway's defense, unbelievable. They are looking very good right now.
They gave up 3 points against Mountlake Terrace last week and
shut out tonight. Gave up, I think the final yardage, I'll have to add it up. It was like negative 30 yards tonight for Shorecrest. That's not good. Tingsted drops back to pass. He's going to throw a little screen pass to Butler. Butler dances around. Great open field tackle. Number 45 on the play. That's Danny Smart, the senior linebacker, stepping up and That's a quick guy there, number 1, Butler. He can make you miss, and Danny Smart read it well and stayed home and made the tackle.
It was open field. Butler had momentum, and that was a great tackle. But talking back to Linwood again, you were saying they have a lot of seniors, and they have a great season, which they're already having. Going to the offseason, even if they do graduate everyone, that's a great feeling in the offseason to build for next year.
Oh, definitely. Tingstead looking, getting blitzed, throws it, almost picked off. And those big guys, anybody above the number 50, they like to get their hands on the ball. That was Caleb Warren, who at 5'9", 263, almost got the pick. And Austin Bach.
You can tell he wanted that.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Austin Bach coming off his
now
linebacker position with the blitz.
Not only would we have the pick, I think he had some green in front of him, and I'm sure he would have got excited to see what happens in the open field.
I would have been excited. 5'9", 263. It's always fun to watch those guys running with that ball.
If you're Meadowdale, you better get low on them.
Some of them know what to do, some of them don't. So it would have been fun. We'll never know now as they're sending their punt team on.
It's the first time tonight for Meadowdale.
I was just looking at that a minute ago. I think it might be their second, but actually it is in fact their first punt tonight. Stepping up and making the catch there, Schaefer came up. That was Garrett McDowell. I couldn't quite catch the number. I think that was Drew Harvey that was back to punt. At any rate, Mountlake Terrace will take the ball at their own 38. 31-yard kick. So Will Schaefer makes the tackle with 5:08 to go here in the third quarter. And it was, in fact, Drew Harvey. So Mountlake Terrace bringing their offense onto the field for the third time this half. Now trails 27-7 with 5:08 to go. And if you're the Hawks, you're not running out of time yet, but certainly time is not necessarily a friend of yours. You need to get something going here.
Yeah, you're 3 touchdowns behind, but they are playing better. They're playing up to Meadowdale standards the second half, which we didn't see in the first half for sure.
And Blair's going to keep that one himself, 2-yard gain. Yeah, I will say this, having watched Mountlake Terrace as we did the game last week against Edmonds Woodway and seen some of the film from the Cedar Crest game 2 weeks ago, this is a much better looking performance. And it's hard to say that when you're down 27-7, but certainly you're early in the season, you're looking for things to build on. The team last week just looked lost. They didn't look like they belonged on the field, and there have been moments tonight. Meadowdale's beaten them with the big play from time to time. I'm not trying to be too judgmental on it, but I kind of like the move to Blair right now. He looks good out there. As soon as I say that, of course, he loses 2 yards, but certainly it looks like a team that is able to get things flowing a little bit more steady than what we saw over the last couple weeks.
I think they're going to need to open up some more plays because most of them looks like they're running in between the tackles, and I don't see Meadowdale's defense looking confused at all.
No, but the fact that you had 3 plays in one drive last possession that were throws of 20 yards or more down the field, and they look comfortable running those plays, whereas before you'd see a scramble, you'd see a throw, and you'd take a big gulp thinking, okay, is it going to an offensive player or a defensive player? And, of course, on the Meadowdale side of things, defense looking impressive once again tonight. And we're going to get a little bit of a false start on Mountlake Terrace. A little nudge of the ball there from the center, as I think it looked as though Zach Caudry, I don't know if he was intending to do it that way or not, but he started to snap the ball and pulled back. And once you move that ball, it has to go into the quarterback's hands.
I hope no one saw that.
Especially the guys in the zebra shirts, and that's exactly who saw it, and that's why Terrace is going to move back 5 more yards. Well, and Meadowdale coming off of a game last week in which they gave up 40 points. I've got to think that Coach Leonard and his staff are much happier tonight. It's an Everett team that puts up big numbers. They're a good offense, but I know this is a Meadowdale squad that prides themselves on defense, so to do what they're doing tonight so far, we've got to think the coaches are liking this. Blair throwing deep again to Fisher. Overthrows him almost in the direction of Jaden Jackson, who had a shot at it for a moment there. And we're going to get a 4th and 15, and we're going to get another punt situation for the Hawks.
Yeah, obviously it is punting situation, but even when Mountlake Terrace has a good punt, I believe it was Butler, is having great returns. So it's almost a futile effort to punt the ball because they're going to have a 20, 25-yard return every time.
Butler and Roberts,
Yeah.
both of which have had nice returns tonight, and both are dangerous. Let's see what happens here as this ball looks to be going in Roberts' direction. This one's going to hit at the 40 and go out around the 35-yard line. So a 27-yard punt, 28-yard punt, and you know what? I think we might be. Oh, and Keegan Grayson just got I think the penalty is going to be thrown on him. Might have been his second 15-yard penalty of the night, as we saw him earlier get called, and now we get a very late flag. Could Mountlake Terrace be getting called for 2 15-yard penalties here?
Well, I don't know how the second one happens unless it's on the bench. There are no Meadowdale players over there for them to penalize unless
there's a lot of John going on.
John
I think
at the refs.
Grayson was pretty angry at the end of that play. He obviously made contact with one player as the first flag came down. And then when a second player ran by, I don't know what was said, but Grayson took a little swing at him as well. So I think
he did, but he hit him in the shoulder pad. He wasn't a punt. It was more of a
the flag wasn't thrown for that, but the point being that I think he was still very
frustrated,
upset, and I think words were probably being said. Obviously, when a referee throws a flag into a pile of players that are all on the same team, it's usually the sign that somebody said something they shouldn't. And we'll see if number 24 stays on the field here or if Coach Dugan's going to pull him off. You lose 31-13 2 weeks ago, 42-3 last week. You're down 27-7 tonight. I think we're starting to see signs of frustration from a team that's, I think maybe after the first game of the season, feeling pretty good about themselves after the 43-point victory over Seaholm. And
Mountlake Terrace will take the touchdown any way they can get it, but it was one play. It wasn't like it was a sustained drive of them beating Meadowdale down the field.
Did you get... So 3 penalties, all unsportsmanlike, being called on Mountlake Terrace on the same play.
Well, the good news for Terrace, they're so close to their own end zone, some of it will be only half the distance.
As we get this whole thing sorted out, I think the referees are even trying to figure out how to march this one off. At this point, the play happened so long ago, I think they've forgotten where the ball went at.
Yeah.
I want to say it was right around the 35.
A good point. Oh, yeah.
So we'll march one off to the 50, the other one to the other 35, and then the other one to the 20. Is that where it's going to be? We'll see. This is my favorite part of the game, by the way. You got 45 yards of penalties, and rather than just doing the math in your head, making sure they have to march off every 15 yards. But hey.
He's probably wearing his Fitbit, wants to get the steps in.
He's going to be going that direction either way, I guess. But hey, it looks cool, so why not? Again, 3:09 to go here in the third quarter.
Well, that was just he just marked off 2 penalties.
Well, he just marked off the one just now because the ball went out at the 35. It's a 15-yard penalty, so he's standing at the 50 right now.
Oh, well, he had walked.
Ball went out of bounds at the 35.
Right.
Right now he's on the 50-yard line.
Well, one rep. Okay.
That's not the right rep.
Gotcha.
I think he's just getting into place for the next play, which he needs to get down the field even further at this point. But so the referee's continuing to walk here as there's the second penalty marked off at the 35. Could almost do play-by-play right now for the referee. It's to the 30, the 25, and he's going to end up at the 20. So 45 yards of penalties on one play. And again, up here we don't know. It looked to me as though 2 of those penalties were probably against the same player. Don't know who the third one was called on, but at any rate, Meadowdale goes from having the ball go out of bounds at their own 35 to starting this drive at the Mountlake Terrace 20. And if you're Mountlake Terrace, again, you're down by 20 points, but we've seen teams erase 20-point deficits. Heck, we saw Meadowdale erase a 17-point deficit in the fourth quarter last week. The last thing you wanted to do is give them 45 yards of free offense and set them up in the red zone. Unbelievable. You've got to keep your head in a game like this, and at least one player, maybe 2 or 3 for the Hawks, didn't do so, and consequently, Meadowdale's got great field position.
Nothing Terrace can do but sit there and stew. That or play some better defense and try to get the ball back, but it's too early in the game for them to be losing their cool.
So 3:09 to go here, third quarter. Let's see if the Mavs can make them pay right away. They're going to pitch it out to Butler. Butler cutting back as he went towards the out-of-bounds marker. Cuts it back towards the hash and gets ahead to the 13-yard line. A nice 7-yard run for Butler. Butler not only showing quickness, but showing some shiftiness there, too, as He ran right towards that out-of-bounds marker at about the 18 and cut it back in towards the hash marks. Shuffled his feet a couple times to get to the 13. Tingsted's going to roll out. Penalty marker down out of bounds. Plummer catches it at the 10, bounces off of 2 tacklers, is still going. Finally goes out at the 5, and you don't see a yellow flag out of bounds very often. I would imagine maybe somebody...
I think number 3 was in motion, and they probably should have blown the whistle. It looks like he was going forward before the ball was snapped. And I don't know if they're calling it illegal procedure instead of a illegal motion, where the procedure, a lot of times they'll play it out. But that was definitely a number 3.
David Kostick with the call. They do, in fact, signal illegal shift against Meadowdale. Presumably that should put them back right around the 19, which would be a 2nd and 9.
So I've been seeing this all game tonight. When Meadowdale makes a mistake, they very rarely make 2 mistakes in a row. So we'll see if they can pick up these yards again like they've been doing all night.
5-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage, and yet they're snapping the ball at the 15. They were just
yeah.
There we go. I think one referee stepped in and said, you know what, that's you were on the 13-yard line, and the ball's down on the 15. We've got to move you back a little bit more than that. Actually, I think they snapped it from the 14, so we're probably looking at the 19-yard line. A game that was moving along fairly quickly for a while. All of a sudden, this last minute or so with the unsportsmanlikes and this penalty here, kind of bogging the game down a little bit as 2:31 showing on the clock here, third quarter.
That's better they got it right. They take their time to get it right. They get it wrong and hurry up.
Absolutely. So we've got Schaefer out to the right. Plummer lined up right off of the tackle there. They're going to look in that direction. They're throwing to Schaefer, catches it at the 14, gets ahead to around the 7-yard line. Nice job by Schaefer to pick up the first down. First and goal for Meadowdale inside the 7-yard line.
I don't want to say I told you so, but like I said, Meadowdale makes a mistake, but they don't make 2 in a row.
Let's see what they do here. They got Butler in the backfield. Harvey lined up outside on the left. He's got Roberts inside of him. Schaefer still lined up out to the right. We're going to give it to Butler. No, Tingstead calls his own number, and he only gets about a yard on the play. Nice job. It looked as though that was number 36 from up here, but looking on my roster for the Hawks, they don't have a 36, so not sure who stepped up to make that tackle, but nonetheless a nice play by.
I've seen it a few times tonight from the Terrace defensive line. They're getting good penetration and getting to the runner, but they're tackling high. They are completing the tackle, but since they're so high, the momentum is pushing them a couple extra yards for the Meadowdale running back.
2nd and 5. Tingstead being blitzed, and he's going to go down at the 10-yard line. Get to give about 4 different guys a quarter of a sack on that play. Joseph Abraha in on the play. Austin Bach. Zach Cottery in on the tackle. Danny Smart was around the play. A little bit of call it a botch snap, but certainly a snap that Tingstead bobbled a little bit, and it was just that extra little split second that enabled those 4 Hawks to get through there. But nonetheless, they were barreling through anyway.
Yeah.
3rd and 10 at the 10-yard line. 3rd and goal at the 10-yard line. 1:18 to go here, third quarter. Hawks need a stop. Meadowdale looking for a touchdown to put this game away. Wide open, Zach Plummer, touchdown to Mavericks. Plummer with his 2nd touchdown catch of the night. With 1:11 to go here in the third quarter, Meadowdale now with their largest lead of the night, 33-7.
Tingstead making it look easy again. Poised in the backfield, waiting for the receiver to get open, and obviously a blown coverage because he was wide open in the back.
Zach Plummer, who came into the night with 8 receptions on the year, had yet to score a touchdown. He's got 2 now this evening. And Will Schaefer for the 5th time tonight on to attempt a PAT. He's made 3. He's had 1 blocked. And he's now made 4. So with 1:11 to go here in the third quarter, 34-7, Meadowdale in control. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
leak, drain, or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com. High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network, presented by My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmonds News, MLT News, LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, and events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. 1:11 to go here in the third quarter. Meadowdale with the 27-point lead. Will Schaefer kicks yet another ball into the end zone.
His legs got to be getting tired by now.
Extra points, kickoffs, and he's playing in the field too. He's catching passes, he's playing defense. Will Schaefer doing a little bit of everything. And Mountlake Terrace, who first play of the second half, first play from scrimmage, that 81-yard run, we thought maybe they could get back into this game possibly. Meadowdale stepping up and, again, just getting it done offensively with Tingstead and crew all night, and defensively just shutting the door every time Mountlake Terrace tries to get something going.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, there is really no confusion on that Meadowdale defense. Whatever Mountlake Terrace is throwing out there, Meadowdale has an answer.
Blair hands this one off to Gomez. He's going to try to sweep around to the right. That play went for 81 yards last time. It goes for about a -2 this time around as Meadowdale was waiting on it. And it looked as though Halen Roberts might have stepped up from his cornerback position to help make the tackle. And we're going to give them – actually, he almost got back to the line of scrimmage. It's just about a half yard from where they started. We'll bring up a 2nd and long. We're now under a minute to go here in the quarter, 37 seconds and counting. Blair drops back to pass, getting blitzed, throws it deep, throws a little bit of a waddler. Under through his receiver, had to come back for it. That was Brandon Bach, and nice job by Bach to try to make the catch. Nice job by Butler to defend the play. Ball falls incomplete, brings up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Brandon Bach came back, but it seemed like he came back too much. It hit him in the face mask. If stayed back a little bit, he could have boxed out defender and make it sound so easy. I think catch the ball at the high point. But I could say that from sitting up here. It's a piece of cake.
Notice they made a little change, too. Earlier in this quarter, that was Jackson playing left corner. They've switched Jackson and Butler now, so Butler playing over on the left, recognizing that that's where a lot of the passes are going. Blair's going to keep this one himself, and on 3rd and 10, he's only going to pick up about 2 yards. And actually, not sure what happened there. Blair bounced back up and kept running, but I think he was already down, so he only gets about 2 yards, and it's going to bring up a 4th and 8. But nonetheless, a fun battle to watch over there on that left side, or right side offensively, left side defensively between Butler and Bach, 2 players who are both underclassmen who I think we're going to have a fun time watching for the next year. And that is the end of the third quarter. When we come back, we'll see what Mountlake Terrace decides to do on 4th and 7. Meadowdale 34, the Hawks 7. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
We are proud to have as our pregame sponsor Edmonds Community College, where students and community are at the heart of all they do. Edmonds Community College is committed to helping our diverse body of students access educational and career opportunities in a supportive environment that encourages success, innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs. High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network, presented by My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmonds News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about.
And welcome back to the Sound Live Sports Network. We go into the fourth quarter of play. Dan Bach from Mountlake Terrace just handed me his statistics sheet for the game, and the stat that jumps out at you, Dave, first downs for this game so far, Meadowdale 22, Mountlake Terrace 5.
Yeah.
That is a impressive beat down from one team to the other. There's the kick there. Total yards for the game so far, by the way, Meadowdale 343, Mountlake Terrace 165, and Halen Roberts losing a lot of yards on that play. He's already down. I don't know if the Hawks didn't see that or what, and Keegan Grayson, again, one of the instigators. That ball took a very nice Mountlake Terrace roll.
Well, it was a bad snap. It was a high snap again. I think it may have got tipped at the line, so it didn't get much height, but it was once it hit the ground, it just had a great Mountlake Terrace bounce for him.
So it goes from the 23 all the way down to the, they're going to spot it at the 20, so that was a 57-yard kick. Nice job by Brandon Bach. But again, the total stats for the game, 343 for Meadowdale, 169 for Mountlake Terrace, and about half of that 169 coming on an 81-yard touchdown run.
If you're a Mountlake Terrace fan, you have to be frustrated watching the offense because it's either a run or it's a deep pass. There's nothing, seemed like no intermediary throws.
And
like that.
And did he get the pick? No, they're going to say it hit the ground. And you're absolutely right. So that's the play that Meadowdale runs very well. You've got guys like Halen Roberts who can go over the middle and aren't afraid to try to make that play. And he knows that he should have had that one. He's not happy with himself. Yeah. Roberts usually very sure-handed. I think he was looking to run before he caught it. That's going to bring up 2nd and 10. $11:45 to go. Handoff, Kella Marshall. His legs are kind of fresh right now, and he cuts it back, gets to the 30-yard line. We haven't seen a lot of carries from him in the second half, and he just looked like he had a nice burst of speed there. Again, when you've got a player like that, when the defense is getting worn down by the other players, and I think we're seeing maybe why he's not getting a lot of carries is watching him walk back towards the huddle. He is still walking a little gingerly on that foot. Didn't look like it, though, on that play. He gets 11 yards.
Yeah. Well, they're up by 4 touchdowns. If they score here, then maybe the rest we see of him tonight.
So first down at their own 31. Boy, the Mountlake Terrace band sounds great tonight as Marshall sweeps out to the right, puts on the brakes at the hash marks and cuts it back to the 39-yard line, and that's what makes Marshall who he is right there. He can beat you with speed, he can power over you, and he can also cut. And now we get a very late flag again as this game continues to get chippy here in the second half. We'll see who they call this one on. Judging by the way some of the Meadowdale players reacted, it might be on one of their own. Tackle was made just short of the 40. And they're going to call that one on the Hawks. But that's at least 5 personal fouls that I can think of tonight, 3 of which came on one play.
I know at the end of the game we'll be discussing what we saw tonight. And I don't know if you're a Mountlake Terrace supporter, a teammate, if you're schoolmates with these guys out in the field, they have a lot to think about this weekend. This is not a great performance. And there's one thing to get beat, but there's another thing about how you get beat and how you come back and try to fight and keep fighting till the game is over. But this is getting kind of ugly.
Yeah, when your offense has been outgained by the other team's offense by close to 200 yards, you really can't afford to give up an extra 75 to 90 yards on free personal foul yardage, and that's exactly what they've done in the second half tonight. It's one thing to lose, but to lose your cool in the process. And again, we should point out, up here we don't know which players are getting called. It might be 1 or 2 guys right now, but certainly that's something that Coach Dugan's going to need to enforce to his team this week because it is not looking good. 11 minutes showing on the clock right now, fourth quarter. Tingstad in shotgun formation, first down, 10 yards to go from the Terrace 40. Butler's going to take it around the right side. Cuts it upfield, gets to the 36-yard line, picks up a gain of around 4. Decent crowd here tonight, too. The Mountlake Terrace band off to our right. It is a Mountlake Terrace home game tonight. It's a blackout night, too, I'm told, so everybody's wearing black.
Yeah, it is a good crowd. They're all sticking around, so they're having a good time.
10 o'clock, they're all still cheering, even though their team's down by 27. We get a Tingstead run. Ooh. Nice open field tackle by Fisher, but not before Tingstead picks up. We're going to call it around 13 yards, 14 yards on the play. And Quarterback doing it with his arm and his legs tonight.
That was a pretty good pop, though. I wonder if they score here, if they're going to put in another quarterback also, just to give Tingstead a rest.
As we mentioned,
I think he's had good enough stats for tonight.
Homecoming game against Shorewood next week. That game starts at 8 o'clock. And that game will be broadcasted right here on the Sound Live Sports Network. And the way things are looking right now, that should be Meadowdale aiming for their 4th straight victory after losing the season opener to Monroe a few weeks ago. And that's another run for Butler. Down to the 18-yard line on the play as the clock continues to run. 9:32 and counting. A lot of the starters still in this game for Meadowdale. Harvey lined up out to the left. Barhome and Roberts out to the right now. Tingstead looking over the middle. Throws! Zach Plummer again! Touchdown, Meadowdale! Zach Plummer with the hat trick. Tingstead with yet another touchdown pass, his 4th of the night. Now Meadowdale extends that lead to 47.
Yeah, Plummer took a little pop there right before he got in, but held on, and that's got to be a pretty good feeling for the young senior tight end captain.
Captain, all Wesco last year, and getting his first 3 touchdowns of the season here tonight. And Meadowdale now looking for their largest lead. Already at 33. Make that 34. The extra point is up. It is good. 41-7. Meadowdale in control right now with 9:11 to go in the game. We'll take a break. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
that encourages success, innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs.
Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And welcome back to the Sound Alive Sports Network. Steve Willits along with Dave Koscheck up here in the booth. Being assisted tonight by the one and only Angelo Camo, who runs the broadcasting program at Mountlake Terrace High School and makes this all possible.
It's the brains behind this operation.
He is the brains behind this operation and does a heck of a job. And got to give a nice shout out to Brandon Truesdale, who is also helping tonight. He's been helping all week. Met up with me a few different times to shoot coaches' interviews for pregame shows this week, and he's
checking his email right now.
He was actually we won't get into this too much, but we did lose a few of our freshman players that were supposed to be helping tonight, and Brandon had to jump on one of the cameras for the entire third quarter. So he's been the go-to guy tonight. He's been he might be the adrenaline fundraising player of the game. Probably should get it, but we're gonna more than likely give it to a Meadowdale player instead. Ball bounces at the 21, and somebody from the Hawks better get on it. Scramble, and finally Mountlake Terrace recovering it as Garrett McDowell jumps on it at the 21. And I guess the question now for the Hawks becomes, what do you do here? You're down 41-7. Andrew Blair, it's his first start of the season at quarterback, so perhaps you keep him in longer than you normally would to give him the reps. You could go back to Garrett McDowell at some point if you want. Maybe give him a few more reps. Somebody who you're going to need to rely on at some point possibly in the season. You know who's Keegan Grayson is actually listed as the number 2 quarterback on the depth chart tonight. And again, I don't know what the coaching staff's thought is on Grayson. Grayson certainly not putting forth his best foot tonight, and a lot of the things that have happened extracurricular out there. So I don't know what they'll do with him. But the answer, I guess, to the question right now, Andrew Blair is still the quarterback.
Yeah. No, I mean, I liked Blair's performance tonight. But Mountlake Terrace is just being outmatched pretty much at all phases of the game. So you can't have one player just have a dominant game with the rest of the team kind of holding them back. So I say keep Blair out there. He's probably going to be there next week also. So every snap he gets this is stuff you can't simulate in practice. So have these Friday night light experiences and a live defense coming at you.
And Blair's going to keep it again. And certainly if you're Mountlake Terrace, next week you play at Shorecrest, a Shorecrest team that I broadcasted their game earlier tonight. For as bad as Mountlake Terrace has looked at times tonight, Shorecrest looked a lot worse than their 54-0 loss to Edmonds Woodway. Mountlake Terrace certainly having to think that looking ahead they can very much win that game. It's a winnable contest for them, and I'm sure everything they're doing right now, they're doing with the intent of getting ready for that game in 7 days.
I'd still like to see Blair with a couple different style passes or different option passes, because about his last 4, 5, 6 passes have all been 25 yards or 30 yards in the air. So,
and a couple of the plays that he threw over the middle, he did have an intermediate throw to Fisher, which he kind of floated a little bit, and Jackson popped him on the play. Blair's going to get stood up and thrown down. No, he's going to keep fighting. I do like the fact that he runs hard on every play. He gets forward. He needed 1 yard for a first down. He picks up 4, moves the chains.
He had 6 white shirts hit him, and it took him to 6-1 to finally bring him down.
Jaden Jackson finally making the tackle with 7:38 to go on the clock.
So this is sort of how you want to see, if you're a Mountlake Terrace fan, how you're going to finish the game. They're not going to win this game. I hate to spoil the ending here, but how is Mountlake Terrace going to try to build some momentum, go into the weekend, and have a good practice next week? Because you don't want the game ending like the third quarter ended.
And here we go, the Hawks now handing off to Fisher. He's going to try to sweep it out to the left. He's met by 3 different white shirts. Quentin Bourget on the play. Will Schaefer was in there. And it looks like Jeremiah Koo was also in on the tackle. 2nd and 10 coming up. We're now under 7 minutes to go on the clock. And we remind everyone to stick around after the game, as we will have our Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Game award. Quick interview with
who?
One of the players on the winning team. Well, I think there's a few candidates right now. I'll tell you what, anytime a guy catches 3 touchdown passes, you got to look in his direction. But,
and don't forget about Brandon in the booth.
Brandon's not eligible. There's a slant play that doesn't work, as that was intended for Jeswin John, incomplete. Certainly anytime a guy catches 3 touchdowns, you've got to consider him. But then again, somebody's throwing him those passes as well. I think you could go with almost either one of those guys at this point.
Yeah, Tingstead really impressed. I mean, like we saw, he was sort of in trouble, quote unquote in trouble, 3 or 4 times, and kept his eyes down the field and threw strikes. No, I mean, especially for someone that throws that much, not 1 interception either, you know.
So we will see. We've got a couple different candidates there we can choose from. So we will. We've got about 6.5 minutes to decide. So we
should have the fans call in and vote right now.
I'm sure Angelo Como would love that. A nice run there by Gomez as he started to sweep out to the right and cut it back into the middle of the field. Gets taken down at the 40.
Angelo, what's your cell number? What is your cell phone number?
We will not be giving out Angelo's cell phone number. Angelo is reaching for his phone, though, which is a little bit strange. I don't know that
he's the brains behind this operation.
Thinking of giving that out.
He's way too trustworthy. That's the problem.
This is one of those 41-7 conversations in the fourth quarter, isn't it? For the 3 people that are still watching. Angelo just realized that you were asking for a cell phone number on the air. Now he's curious.
We're taking votes for player of the game, and the people call in.
4th and 5, by the way. So we're going to get a false start on Mountlake Terrace, and now you go from 4th and 5 to 4th and 10. Obviously, the game has been decided. We know who's going to win, so it's not as though you're putting forth a tremendous risk by going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of where do you want to give Meadowdale the football. But I think Mountlake Terrace thinking that, hey, 4th and 5, let's go for it. 4th and 10, not really worth it. Let's bring Brandon Bach back on and kick it away one more time. So Jashawn Butler and Halen Roberts both back to receive.
Pick your poison here.
Another takes a really nice bounce there. It goes down to the 16-yard line where Butler finally fields it. Makes the first tackler miss. Gets open in some space. and is finally dragged down from behind at the 37, but not before he picks up 21 yards. And if Holden Murray hadn't come back down the field from where he was, Butler might have had quite a few more yards after that.
Yeah, it was a good hustle by Murray to get back into the play there.
Vince DeMiro, by the way, points out that he's still watching, so we appreciate the fact that it's not just you and I talking.
Ask him who his vote for player of the game is.
Vince DeMiro needs to, if he's been watching the entire game, we should ask him, is he on Team Tingstead or Team Plummer? So, Vince, if you want to send us a text. Again, always a tough call. Like I said, when you give it to a receiver, somebody makes it happen for that receiver.
The quarterbacks get all the glory anyway. Let's give it a receiver.
We got a new quarterback, speaking of which, number 7 into the ballgame. That's Nate Hibbert, the 5'11", 170-pound sophomore. Hibbert handing that one off. Meadowdale doing their best to keep that clock running right now. 5:12 and counting. Vince DeMiro has voted. Yeah, we got one vote for Zach Plummer right now, so we'll see where that goes as the ball is handed off. Jesus Hernandez getting his first carry of the night, the 5'9", 175-pound senior running back. We should throw that out there. I mean, if anybody is listening, the Twitter handle is Steve Willits, all one word, SteveWillits. I don't know if we're going to get any votes at this point, but if you want to vote for your player of the game, let us know who you think it should be.
And if the Twitter handle from the senders is the same last name as one of the players, we are going to disavow that vote.
Well, whatever it takes. Hibbert keeps that one himself, gets brought down by Holden Murray, who gets his second tackle in the last few plays. And Dominic Latham also in on the tackle. So 4th and 7 coming up with 4:08 to go. Meadowdale is going to keep their offense on the field here and give some of these second stringers a little more opportunity as they're getting their chance to shine tonight. And Mountlake Terrace coming over the line. They're going to whistle that one dead. Fortunately, if you're one of the Hawk players, you did give them 5 yards, but you did not give them a first down. So it's 4th and 2 now coming up. The last thing you want,
it's a win-win for both teams.
Well, it's not a win-win, but
right.
it's always bad. I always feel for these defensive players when they leap over the line or they end up getting that penalty when it's 4th and less than 5 or 3rd and less than 5, and you give them a free first down. You made it easier, but you didn't give them a freebie yet, I guess is what I was trying to say.
I can be a little more cynical up here. I don't know if you feel bad for them because you should know that's what they're going to try to do. The offense is going to try to draw you off sides to get a free first down.
I feel even worse for them that they're down by 34, but that's another story. 3:42 to go here, 3:37 actually, and counting. Hibbert's going to push forward, and he gets a first down as he gets up to the 49-yard line, a gain of 4. It'll be 3:31 showing on the clock right now. I'm feeling Meadowdale is going to be very content to let the play clock tick down as far as possible. Let as much of that time evaporate as they get that much closer to picking up win number 3 on the year. 3 wins in a row.
And like I said, they have Shorewood next week. If you plan on watching that game, do not tune in late.
Very true. Let's see what they can do here. And stopped in the backfield is a nice play being made by number 60 on the play. That's Keenan Curry. Loss of 4. Vince DeMiro, by the way, asking why I didn't give out the Sound Live Twitter handle to do the voting on. The problem there is that it doesn't come right to my phone, so I needed to put my own phone number on there. So, but yeah, if somebody wants to tweet there, we'll try to find that as well. But right now, we only have one vote in, and that's for Plummer. So Plummer might be winning by default tonight. We'll see.
Oh, you did not announce his selection before, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mentioned it's either going to be Tingstead or Plummer at this point. So we reserve the right to change our mind here as the game starts winding down. The things we talk about with 2:24 to go in a 34-point game. Well, Dave, let me ask you point blank. Who's your vote tonight?
I'm going to, I think Tingstead had a better game, but I'm going to vote for Plummer.
You're going to vote for Plummer, okay.
Like I said, the quarterback.
They get all the glory.
They get all the glory, and I don't know if you're allowed to take bets right now, but I bet Tingstead will be in the running for player of the game next week also.
The game against Shorewood? Yeah, there's a good chance they might win that game. 2 more home games after that against Linwood and Edmonds Woodway, so there will be other opportunities. Hibbert's going to hand that one off. Going up the middle there, number 42, Sami Al-Hadid, getting one of his first carries of the night. 5'8", 155-pound junior. It's going to bring up a 4th and 4 here with 1:28 to go. Meadowdale staying in shotgun formation. This could potentially be their last offensive play of the night. We did get a vote up from Kim Chapman on Twitter. I think we've got our winner now. I think I didn't even vote.
The runaway winner, the tight end,
yeah,
senior captain, beating other senior captain.
Yeah.
And look, a tight end, they do a lot of blocking also, so, he's going to be a little more soared tomorrow over Tingstead. So
well, especially, he took a pretty good hit on that third touchdown.
He did run a lot. And Tingstead did do a lot of running too, so.
We're down to 108, so this should be one of the final 1 or 2 plays here. So I guess not a lot of suspense now. If it sounds like that the votes have been cast, and we're
the final click, so you can still get your votes in.
So we
have 58 seconds.
We'll get Brandon maybe to get down and get number 34 for us from Meadowdale, or somebody down there to grab Mr. Plummer. And as Hibbert takes a knee. Now down to 37 seconds left in the game. So David, Meadowdale, again, rough start against Monroe, a non-conference game. They've since rebounded for 3 victories. Could be 4 next week against Shorewood. And a Meadowdale team that, Linwood 4-0. Snohomish certainly still in the mix. Edmonds Woodway looking good. It's going to be a lot of fun watching this division play down the stretch, and certainly one of the teams that will be in contention all season, the Mavericks.
Yeah, you got to mark down the Linwood-Meadowdale game coming up in a few weeks here. That could be a one to come out for.
That's in 2 weeks. That'll be a 5 o'clock start on a Friday night, 2 weeks from tonight. And again, the final score tonight, Meadowdale 41, Mountlake Terrace 7. Dave Koshik, we're going to get you to stick around after the interview. We'll do a quick wrap.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. Again, the final score, 41-7. Coming up, the Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Game Award.
Clogged drain or other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Unclogging most internal drains for just $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com. High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network by My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmonds News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, and events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about.
We are proud to have as our pregame sponsor Edmonds Community College, where students and community are at the heart of all they do. Edmonds Community College is committed to helping our diverse body of students access educational and career opportunities in a supportive environment that encourages success, innovation, service, and lifelong learning. To learn more, visit us at edcc.edu/programs.
All right, and welcome back to the Adrenaline Fundraising post-game show. Player of the game, Zach Plummer. Zach, 3 touchdowns tonight, by the way. Congratulations. Now, I think you might have to share this shirt with Mr. Tingstead, because we were pretty much ready to give it to him, and you kind of stole it from him with those 3 touchdowns. What was going on tonight? You want to talk into this thing here?
Played really well. Basically, we ran patterns, and I happened to be the guy open, and he found me. Our O-line had good pass pro. It was good work.
Now, that first touchdown you had, the 30-yarder down the sideline, great play, really nice play by Drew, quite frankly.
Yeah, it was.
He broke out of coverage there. He stepped up in the pocket and hit you running down the sideline. Was that a planned play? Did you kind of know that if he got in trouble, he was going to be looking for you?
Yeah, I kind of looked over to the sideline, and I saw that the wheel was open, so I was talking to the coaches, and I said, let's run the play and then with the wheel, and Drew knew he was to look for it, and he escaped the pocket and then threw it.
And then that second touchdown, 3rd and long there, you just kind of got open in the back of the end zone. What happened on that play? Walk me through it.
Yeah, that's a play that we actually ran last year where I was open and I dropped it in the corner, so it was good to have a little redemption on that. Just a good beater right there, and Drew found me. Good work.
And then on the final touchdown, you took a little bit of a pop. Every once in a while, when you're going across the middle, that happens, right?
Yeah.
How are you feeling on that play? Did you know?
Oh,
did you see it coming?
I saw it coming kind of before the play was coming. I looked over at Drew, and we both knew that the middle of the field was going to be open. Drew kind of looked away the other safety, and then I thought I was wide open, and then all of a sudden I kind of got a pop from behind, but it felt good, and I was in the end zone. So
now, for the first 3 games this year, you didn't get into the end zone, so you got 3 tonight, so it makes up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, that game last week was crazy. I've got to think that it took a lot out of you guys, both physically and mentally. Was it hard to get refocused this week, knowing that you were coming against a team that had a rough week last week, and knowing how much you exerted in that game? I mean, what was practice like this week?
No, we put a big emphasis on having great practices this week. We didn't feel like we got after it in practice the last week or even the week before that. So we put a big emphasis on that. We didn't think that every game should have been that close, but we were happy to pull it out. And we all wanted Terrace. We kind of had this one circle on the calendar.
It might have had something to do with the defeat last year, I can assume? Okay.
Yes, very much so. We wanted that one back a lot.
So you get some big games coming up. Homecoming next week against Shorewood. Shorewood, a team that's struggling this year, but homecoming always a big night, especially when you're a senior, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got a Linwood team coming up, who, by the way, defeated Snohomish earlier tonight. So
really?
Undefeated Linwood team. This is going to be a fun division down the stretch.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of good teams. It's exciting, especially with the shake-up of the teams in Wesco. It's fun to play some new teams, and we'll see how it all works out.
Well, we will see indeed. And we're going to get a picture from you real quick here as you are the Adrenaline Fundraising Player of the Game. We'll get Zach in there. And you get to keep the shirt, too. So not only do you get the 3 touchdowns, you get this on top of it all. More importantly, you're 3-1 on the season. Congratulations.
Yes, awesome.
Nice job, Zach, and we will see you down the stretch here.
Thank you.
All right, again, so Zach Plummer, 3 touchdowns tonight. We'll let him go celebrate with his teammates. And move on down there as the Mavericks now getting their 3rd victory. Dave Kostick will hand you the microphone. How does that sound as we'll close this thing out? And
no headset.
No headset, but still, it still works for you, right?
Yeah.
Hey, again, Meadowdale, we talked about it through that second half when we had some downtime. A team that lost 55-9 that first game. Boy, have they looked good over the last 3 games, though.
Well, look at them. They're 2 separate teams right now. One kind of Mountlake Terrace trying to figure out where they are, and Meadowdale is all going in the right direction. I said it 5-6 times today that Tingstead looks really comfortable back there. Senior quarterback, started a lot of games last year. He has poise, composure. Using the same word, stays very cool looking down the field, and he has targets to hit. Plummer being a main one. So it's going to look good for them going down the rest of the season. So we talked about that Linwood game. That's going to be a fun one to watch too.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're Mountlake Terrace again, you lose your 3rd straight game. It's kind of nice to have Shorecrest coming up on the schedule, quite frankly, for both teams, really. If you're either one of them, you're kind of feeling like you need an opponent to come in that maybe you feel going into the game and going into the week of practice, hey, we could possibly win this game.
It's easy to say it's just a loss, right? Because if you get beat by 20 or you get beat by 50 or beat by 7, it's still a loss. So hopefully for Mountlake Terrace, they could start fresh on Monday knowing they have a team that they'll have a better chance to beat on Friday. That'll give them momentum and more pep to forget about these last 2 weeks. There's nothing they can do about it now, right?
Yeah.
They seem to be healthy this week, or I'm sorry, tonight after the game. I didn't see many injuries from Mountlake Terrace, so everything tonight they can use to build on for next week because they got a lot of experience. They have tape now, what was working, what's not working. So I said that also earlier. Hopefully they come up with more diverse plays, especially in the passing game, because it really didn't give Meadowdale defense much to worry about tonight.
Now, again, doubleheader next week, that 5 o'clock game, all of a sudden becomes very interesting. It's Linwood versus Edmonds Woodway, and then followed by the 8 o'clock game for you Meadowdale fans. It's homecoming, so get on out here if you get a chance. If not, watch us here on the Sound Life Sports Network as we will be bringing you Meadowdale Shorewood at 8 p.m. So, again, for everybody involved tonight, Dave Koschik, it's been a while since we've had you up in the booth.
Thanks for the invite. I love it up here. It's great.
Always good to have you back. My name's Steve Willits, and for Angelo Camo and Brandon Truesdale, as well as Teresa Whipple, who was here earlier tonight. We appreciate you watching. We're once again the final score, Meadowdale 41, Mountlake Terrace 7. You've been watching the Sound Alive Sports Network. Have a good night.
Good night.
And we're clear.
Good job.